It's Friday, then it's Saturday, Sunday.
This is on you!
Tell us what we want to hear.
We need your help. We're going to give it to him.
Just Anthony. He's going to get it all.
Let's get nasty on a Friday, a Freedom Friday here in the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN.
That one gets me every single time. And I've heard it so many times, but every time it's like I heard it for the first time again.
It's a beautiful thing. Yeah, that's Janet telling me she'll give it to me. It's the Fast Lane, Freedom Friday, 201. Your time check is brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. We do have everybody in on a Freedom Friday. If you don't know what a Freedom Friday is, it means that you the listener or viewer in the Snake Pit, shout out to our Airlines Team YouTube channel at 101 ESPN STL. You have an opportunity to ask us or tell us to talk about something that maybe you're more interested in. This was an idea born out of spite. Because we got tired of hearing why are you talking about this? And why aren't you talking about that? Like, all right, fine, you pick out the topics. And it's honestly been great.
It has been.
It has worked out well. Listeners seem to enjoy it. We certainly enjoy it because we're a show that's all about improv.
Yes.
We're prepared, but typically when we have a game plan coming in, I will chuck said game plan and we'll just do whatever the hell we want.
Yes.
So
It's usually the best way to go about life.
it's worked out well.
Yeah. And it's great that it's on a Friday, too, because everybody's had a long work week.
Yeah.
You don't want to sit there and be too serious about things.
No.
Let's have some fun here today.
Let's have some fun. So if you want to participate in a Freedom Friday, you can. Air Comfort Service text line is 314-399-9646. If you want to join us in the YouTube channel, our Snake Pit, again, Airlines Team YouTube channel at 101 ESPN STL. If you want to leave us a mic drop with maybe some comments or some questions, you can do so via the 101 ESPN app. It's free to use. You'll see the mic drop feature at the bottom. Click on it, leave us a mic drop, and you might have your voice heard here on 101 ESPN. 3 ways to reach out. So if you miss out on a Freedom Friday, this is your fault.
Yeah. It's totally your fault.
So, Andrew Marsh.
Yes.
Without further ado, what is our first Freedom Friday topic?
All right, first we have 2 texts. One of them is a topic. The first one is from the 314. It just says, Freedom Fastlane Yourself Friday.
Yes, thank you. You too.
Yeah.
Yeah, well
said. Okay, now the next one. This says, from the 636, Katie's Commons has to open.
Okay, so Katie Woo's comments, I would imagine.
What happened? What did Katie Woo say?
Yeah, so Katie Woo wrote a piece. Some would call it scathing. Some would call it just honestly just a microscope. The magnifying glass on the current. The magnifying glass on the current situation. I was stumbling, but I found my way. Like I was about to fall out of bounds, and then I recorrected.
Then Carey shoved you.
Then Carey shoved me out of bounds.
Off you go.
Yeah, it's a magnifying glass on what the current situation is. So she wrote an article at The Athletic, and if you haven't read it yet, and I'm assuming that this texter did, I'll read you the headline, and then we'll dive into it. The headline is, the St. Louis Cardinals have lost their way. Now they must fix their failure. So first impressions, guys. Like, let's just go right off the top, first impressions, without, like, really diving into it yet, because we can attack this in a lot of different ways. Jamie, what was your first impression after getting through it?
It's about time.
I kind of had that feeling, too.
The last 2 seasons, it's like this dirty little lie that nobody's like willing to admit that their Cardinals are like not supplying their team with enough to succeed.
Right.
That their development has been in shambles, and we see it. Like all the young players, like we've seen it, and now it's just like, oh well, yeah, of course. Well, we knew that.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I was like, yeah, it's about time somebody wrote something about this. And I thought it was about time that it's being discussed. Now, I would have liked to have been discussed by John Mozeliak and Cardinals' actual staff.
Yeah.
But
typically these articles, these features are not done by those that are in prominent positions.
True. But I guess what I'm saying is on Monday when they have this press conference, I'm hoping that they outline things even more. in detail. Like it's always so murky when they talk about things. It's like, what? What did he really say? He didn't really say anything.
I saw your lips moving, but I don't know what you were saying.
Yeah, so that's the first thing I thought of is it's about time. And I thought to myself, you know what? This is going to be a positive thing. This is kind of what we've been talking about. Rolling it over with the youth and start to build from within again. And yeah, it may not be pretty. It may not be, division-winning baseball next year, but you're going to have to take steps in that direction. It might take a couple of seasons, but at least now I think the fan base will have a little bit of an idea of what this team's doing.
Yeah, I think she finally said the quiet part out loud. Like, everyone kind of has known that the development part, I mean, you can see it in the play. She talked about Ivan Herrera and his struggles behind the plate. He can't throw people out. You are taught those things. You're taught how to get the ball out quicker and get the ball to second base and things like that. She talked about Jordan Walker and his path in the outfield to tracking down baseballs. Those are things you're taught, especially if you were an infielder your entire career and then moved into the outfield when you became a pro. Like, these are things that have been lacking, have been missing. And yeah, you can probably get by because every now and then you'll get a Mason Wynn who is fundamentally sound and may not need as much in terms of development because his development, it was given to him by someone other than us, someone that could not. There you go. It was God-given. Yeah. He has something that other people don't have, so you can't teach that, and sometimes you can't coach it. But some people need assistance to kind of grow their talent and to be the best version of themselves, and it's clearly not been happening. Katie Wu also mentioned that she did reach out to the front office and asked for members if they wanted to speak on it. They declined. So, it's going to be interesting to see how next season looks. I think next season, if you go with the youth movement, I'm fine with it. It gives you an opportunity to get those younger guys out there. Marshy is taking a deep breath. He doesn't like it, sounds like. But it gives those younger players an opportunity to grow at the big league level. Clearly, there's not as much development at the minors, so no point in having them there, fellas. Yeah. Have them here, figure it out, and by 2026, you'll be ready to roll.
I'm not sighing about the youth movement. I'm sighing because the Cardinals have like 5 minor league staff.
And everybody else has 15. Nah, some guys got 16, 17.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
Even 18.
The Brewers have 17, I believe, and that's 12 more if my math is correct.
Good math.
That almost lines up with how many games back you are in the Central Division.
Oh, wow.
Well done.
Yeah. 10 games back.
Well
so it's close. It's close. So maybe if they get more staffers, they'll, as the time goes, they'll get more wins. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
So let's add 20 more.
That's our math. I had like 3 instant reactions after reading through this. One, thankfully Jordan Walker struggled as much as he did. Because I feel like Jordan Walker was kind of like, whoa, wait a minute. This guy is like renowned as the top prospect, do it all that stuff. And boy, he is a mess. Why? And I feel like that was, like, he wasn't the start of it, certainly. But if there were like a whistleblower for the issues here, it's Jordan Walker's lack of development. So thankfully, in some weird way, Jordan Walker struggled, and he wasn't just Mason Wynn, who was so good that the Cardinals couldn't even screw him up.
All right.
Jordan Walker actually needed some help, and it's been this yo-yo. And it's like, wait a second, do you know what you're doing? Oh, you don't. Let's take a deeper dive. So that was my first take. You're not going to like this next one. This organization is in serious trouble, because if you're talking about a lack of development, what does that say not only about Jordan Walker, but about everybody else that's in the minors right now? I don't think it's going to be a quick fix here, guys. I think you have serious issues, because the same limited scouting development staff that has been trying to work with these players, and I'm not knocking them, man. They're doing the best they can.
There's only so much you can do.
There's only so much you can do. You don't have a catching prospect, or I'm sorry, you don't have a catching instructor. Like, oh man, really?
You don't have an infield coach. You don't have an outfield coach.
So Herrera's behind, right? Like, Herrera's behind, Walker's behind. Unless you're Mason Wynn type prospect, you've got issues in the minor leagues right now. A little bit more optimism, though. At least finally, if this article is is true here, and we're shedding light on finally the Cardinals are self-aware. Because you do have to be self-aware if you got a problem. And maybe, finally, the Cardinals are self-aware. I don't think the money issue is actually an issue. If ownership realizes that they have to dump more money into the development part of this, even if it's at the cost of the big league roster, fine. But this would actually fix the problem. Not Lance Lynn type signings and Kyle Gibson type signings and Dexter Fowler and Mike Leake and Brett Cecil. That's not going to fix the issue. The issue's at the minor league level, which wasn't the problem 2 decades ago, which is why you became the St. Louis Cardinals. So those were my biggest takes on that. I don't think the money. Even if they have to shift the money, I don't think necessarily that's quite the problem.
I think you definitely need to put more money into the minors. Like the development aspect of players is the most important part. Like you both developing them physically and mentally, preparing them for all of the things that they are going to face when they become professionals. That's how you get pros to be able to stay in the league for 5, 10, 15 years. Like they are well prepared for all of the things that they are going to face. If you just thrust them into a position and say, all right, be an athlete, go do what you can do. And they don't have the tools. We talk about this all the time with quarterbacks that are just thrown into the fire. Be great, kid. Coach, I don't know what coverage that is. Doesn't matter. You're great, right? You'll figure it out.
Fine.
No,
why'd you do that in that coverage?
I don't know. Hell, I've never seen it before. I don't know what that is. So you have to develop them and teach them how to be pros and how to have success at the next level. And I think, if the Cardinals are able to get back on track, starting with adding more coaches, I think this article said they had a coach, a hitting coach and a pitching coach, and no catching. No outfielder, nothing. Yeah. There is no other positions.
One guy for the hitting, one guy for the catcher, one guy for the fielding. We'll be good.
That's it. How many players you got?
A ton.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah.
You're going to be, and if I'm them, they're probably like, oh, I am overworked and underpaid. Like, this is way too much work for this amount of money. And it might be good money, but you need assistance. You need help. You need to be able to make sure that those guys are ready and prepared when they get here. And this has been a failure of the St. Louis Cardinals for this season and for the past 2 seasons. This is what it is. The article also talked about their inability to develop the pitching, which has forced them to go through free agency for pitching. 3 of the pitchers that they signed in free agency this year. And then she said the starting rotation was all free agent pitchers from
Miles
the past few years. Miles Michaelis, Steven Matz, that's not sustainable. You can't go out there in the market and go get free agent pitching. 5 of your starters came via free agency. You don't have anybody that you grew and developed into being a starting pitcher in your rotation. You're going to stink, and you're going to be spending money that you probably could be using elsewhere had those pitchers been younger and developed in your organization. So it's tough.
All right, it's the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. It is Freedom Friday. Your topics, your conversation throughout the course of the day today. We will talk to Katie Woo. Katie Woo is going to join us from The Athletic. She's the one that wrote the piece. 5:30, we're going to chat with Katie Woo, so we'll get her thoughts on really just an illuminating piece here on what's really going on with your St. Louis Cardinals. Freedom Friday continues next in the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Well, if you're anything like my wife, Chris, and I, we look around the house a lot of times, like, man, we got to upgrade this, we got to do that, we got to, our bathroom looks completely outdated. If you're anything like us, and you've had these conversations and you're tired of it, give my friends at Mosby Building Arts a call. Mosby right now is running a great sale, but it does end September 30th, or at least it goes through September 30th. So give them a call between now and next Monday, and they'll have 3 ways to save on a luxurious new shower for you, including 10% off all bathroom projects. So if you want to do your whole bathroom, they have 10% off right now, or no payments for 12 months if you want to save a little bit up front before you start paying for that brand new bathroom, no problem. Or payments as low as $200 a month. So a way to finance the bathroom that might be more feasible for you. But the bottom line is, no matter what you choose, go with Mosby, because they are the right remodeling company. They'll come out, they'll take the proper measurements. You'll work with a designer and a design team to make sure that your project goes off without a hitch. You won't suffer all these delays. You won't be without a bathroom for months on end. They work efficiently. They have their own contractors in-house, too. You're not waiting on certain contractors to be available. No, everybody's in-house at Mosby. They do it right. They do it right the first time. So give them a call. Take advantage of 3 options to save on the luxurious new shower and bath at 314-909-1800. Call Mosby.com. Tell them Stalter sent you. Don't forget, that offer ends October 1st, so through September 30th. So give them a call right now. Again, it's Mosby Building Arts, the right remodeling company.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Anthony Stalter mentioned the turn the other day, and I remember it that you used to come in and out of breaks, sometimes with like Slipknot or some other heavy metal band playing, and I just wanted to get verification that that's true, because to my memory, it used to, and that's what really made me start listening, because I was like, hey, this guy likes heavy metal and talks all awesome sports. So please correct me if I'm wrong, but please also tell me that it was true, that my memory of you coming back from break would have like Slipknot playing. And I'm assuming when you went to the fast lane, they probably took that away, the higher ups, but just correct my memory for me or confirm it. I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Thank you.
That's a mic drop from Patrick. Great stuff, Patrick. So a couple of things. Yeah, we did rock out to some heavy metal. Absolutely. Kevin Wheeler's a little more heavier than we were, though. But yeah, we always came back with some rock music. Now, it wasn't necessarily the higher ups that nixed the bump music. It's a copyright thing. So we can't come back with songs that are going to be flagged by YouTube and things like that.
We can make our own songs, Anthony.
Yeah, we can do that. I think not a problem.
Would be great.
Right. But yes, we used to come back with all sorts of great music. Mike Ryder used to be on the board for that, so Mike always played into whatever the host like to listen to. So for me, it was always like 90s style rock or 2000s rock, and Mike would come back with that. Dan Bellock used to put together some massive hooks and things for opens that were great.
Mike Ryder even threw in some Seven Dust for me when I first jumped on the show with you.
Yeah. So Patrick, yes, it was us. And sorry, we can't rock out a little bit more. Damn copyright. People want their money, I guess. People want to get paid for their work.
It is their music. I mean,
these damn bands want to get paid for what they do. So yeah.
Haven't they been hurt enough?
But Patrick, we appreciate the compliments and thanks for listening here in the Fast Lane, where it is a Freedom Friday. So if you want to chime in today on anything, it's really up to you what topics you want to choose for today's show. That's the whole theme of Freedom Friday. Marsh, what do you got?
All right, so obviously after our last discussion, last segment, we had a lot of people texting in about the Cardinals, giving their opinion. And we have a question from the 618. Are you guys concerned that with the Cardinals saying they're going to focus more on the minor league system, are you worried? I know this texter's worried that the Cards may not have a major league team in 2 to 3 years because we all know the Cardinals can only work on one problem at a time. They put the blinders on, and that's all they do. What do you guys think?
Yeah, so for me, guys, I don't think that's necessarily a problem. I don't think that's a problem. I think they have to concentrate on what the actual issue is. I think the actual issue is the lack of player development, and it all kind of stems from that. How many times have we had the conversation of why does a player go to Boston or Tampa or whoever and have success when they were in the Cardinals organization? We've done the game before where we've done the entire field and fielded a team of former Cardinals that would be better now than what the current Cardinals have. Part of the issue is because they don't either develop those guys correctly or don't evaluate those guys correctly. A lot of that goes away if you do it right, and it's going to take some time. Anything that you do right, it's going to take some time, and there's going to be some learning curves. So I don't think you're wrong to think, you know what, this may hurt for a couple of years. Yeah, it might. I don't know. Call it whatever you want. Rebuild, retool, reimaged, whatever it may be. But it has to be done because you're not going to be able to throw money at the problem because that's what the Cardinals are doing. It starts with the ownership group. Here's your allotted money. That's something Katie Wu mentioned in her article. Here, John Mozeliak, here's your budget. Here's your allotted money here, but you can only spend it in one of the places.
It's like that game you see online. You're given $12. Put your team together.
Yeah, right.
And you have players that are different values.
You have to sacrifice somewhere, and it seems like Mo has sacrificed some of the development stuff for the big league squad. Where's that gotten you? So I'm okay if the Cardinals put the right people in place. They concentrate more on the development aspect of it. They catch up again.
Yeah.
And then they can start reinvesting in the big league squad.
So here's why I don't think it's a big deal, is you are going to be investing more funds, more resources, whatever you want to call it, to the minor league system. But it doesn't mean you can't also allocate some of that to the major league team, too. So
right.
If the Cardinals go with this, what we've been calling this youth movement thing, so the players that are in the AAA, AA, A-level ball, they'll hopefully get more development and more coaching with what the Cardinals are planning to do. But it doesn't mean you can't add a guy or two to the major league squad as well for all your younger players that are up here developing. This may not be as painful as people think. This may not be a situation where it's 3-4 years away from being back in the playoffs. Because this Cardinals team this year that ended the season, pretty much going to be the same team that you put on the field next year. Paul Goldschmidt, the big question mark. So if you're that close this year, next year, hopefully take some steps in the right direction. You find yourself somewhere in the same area. It could be a year and you're back in the playoffs again, or at least a playoff contending team.
And I think the level of excitement, if this team that's playing right now, the group of guys that are playing right now, were as close to what you've seen all year, I think the level of excitement would be much higher. You would have more fans showing up because your thought is, man, these kids are young, and they're still hanging with some of these really good teams. They're still able to play with some of these really good teams in the National League and in the American League. And so what is it going to look like in a couple of years? You drive more people to your stadium when they have players that they know are going to be around for a while. I don't think fans believe that Paul Goldschmidt is the ticket to get in the gate anymore. It's not, and that's no offense to him. But he had a really down year. 2 years ago, yes, people were showing up for him, for Albert, for Nolan, Arenado. Like, they were excited about that. Right now, that's not bringing excitement to the fan base. So giving young players, teaching them, showing them the correct way to play the game, knowing situational things that take place on a baseball field, that's important. But having young players do it, I think it would definitely rejuvenate that fan base.
Can I read you guys something? Can I read off a list of names for you? All right. Jake Rogers, Andy Ibanez, Colt Keith, Zach McKinstry, Spencer Torkelson, Kerry Carpenter, Riley Green, Parker Meadows, Matt Vierling. You guys excited about that roster?
No.
Okay. It's the Detroit Tigers roster. They're 85-74, and they're right now third in the wild card in the American League. They've won 9 of their last 10 games and 5 straight. Most of the guys that I mentioned, and I didn't even go through the pitchers, who are all virtually no names outside of Kenta Maeda, and maybe Casey Mize if you're a real big baseball fan. Most of the names I mentioned are 24 or younger.
Not bad.
Sign me up, man.
Nobody in St. Louis would have liked that roster if that was the Cardinals roster. But if the guys are properly developed, cheap doesn't mean, or I don't even want to say cheap. Inexpensive doesn't mean bad. The Brewers have proven that this can work. The Rays have proven that this can work. And I realize the counter's going to be, well, what about the World Series for those teams? Okay, fair. But your Cardinals right now are trying to do it in almost like a cheat code way by bringing in free agents, and they're not making the playoffs, let alone a World Series. So what you're doing right now is not working. Draft, developed, core, that has never changed from when Carey and Jamie played to right now. That has never changed. You can always add. You can always spend a little bit more when the time is right. But the Cardinals, to me, have been trying to, cut corners by throwing money at the issue just to get back to where they were.
Well,
and
they're trying to
blown up in their face.
Cut corners is the right word. Trying to speed up the process because development takes time.
Yes.
Like getting younger players, caught up to the level where they can be successful at the major league level is going to take time. And instead of saying, well, we're going to take our time, we're going to develop these players, we're going to have some down years, or we're going to have some years where we're not as successful, they went the opposite route. And guess what they did? They had some years where they weren't successful.
Right.
Like you had one of the worst years you've ever had in my lifetime last season. And then you follow that up with another year of not making the playoffs, and maybe you'll end up at 500. Maybe you'll end up a few games above. You won't end up under because you've done enough to this point. But it's cut corners is the correct word. They felt like we're going to speed this pace up. And maybe they felt that way because we got Nolan Arenado and we got Paul Goldschmidt. We have to figure out a way to get some players, some veteran players. And let's think about this, because last year, what did we hear? These too many young guys.
Right.
We heard them say that. Like we heard Nolan Arenado say it's too many young guys. We need some veterans. Well, if they veterans and they don't perform well, what the hell difference does it make?
Yeah.
Or if they don't perform well enough, what difference does it make?
Right.
They're just
Makes
older.
you feel better.
Makes you feel better because you got somebody your same age that you can talk to?
Exactly.
The hell I care about that for? I want to win.
Yeah. So for me, guys, this is how screwed up it is. The Cardinals cut corners throughout their organization by not funding or giving enough resources to their minor league system, the development staff. But then they throw money at average to slightly above average players.
Thank you. Right.
To try and keep them afloat. So the only way it would make sense for me is if they cut corners at the minor league level, but then they went and got, a Shohei Ohtani.
Right,
I mean,
right.
That's an exaggeration, but but they're not. They're getting Lance Lynn, Kyle Gibson, Brandon Crawford, Matt Carpenter. I know those guys weren't on massive deals, but all of that is money that they're spending.
Right.
It's bad money.
Agreed.
Because unless you're willing or unless you're ready to compete for a World Series, there's no point bringing on veteran guys like that.
Yes.
Who have maybe 1 year to give you. Because now what? Now you're right back in the same problem. Again, you're still in the mud, and your only options right now are bringing back Gibson, Lance Lynn, those guys. So it's just bad business is what it is. you got no foundation that you're building upon.
Exactly. You have nothing to fall back on.
Nothing.
There's no mission statement
Every year
anymore.
you're in the same problem because you keep doing the same thing.
Right.
So at least now, if they pour the resources into the development, at least now I feel like in a year or two we'll have players at the major league level that can compete where you don't have to go find those veteran one-off guys.
Exactly. No, Jamie, you're spot on. Real quick, because I know we need a break here. Real quick. If you're saying, though, like, why can't you have both? We don't disagree with that. But realize that your ownership group here in St. Louis is operating as if it's almost a small market, or mid-market might be a stretch, a small market organization. Because the fund, you could talk about payroll all you want, but it's not just payroll. They're cutting at the minor league levels to support the big league roster. So you're actually operating like a small market organization in some respects. So if you're upset about that, it's an ownership issue. All right, it's Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Real quick, hey, Billy Joel and Sting, that concert tonight, we were giving away tickets for that a couple of weeks ago. The concert tonight at Busch Stadium is not going on. It's canceled, but they're picking it up on Sunday. So your tickets are good. You can still go to the concert if you're planning on going Friday night. Hopefully you can still make it Saturday. Sunday. Sunday, Busch Stadium, Billy Joel and Sting. That concert is going on Sunday. So not tonight, but Sunday. And I'll remind people later on about that too. All right, a Freedom Friday continues next with What's Trending on 101 ESPN. September's wrapping up, but you still have plenty of opportunities, especially this weekend, to fall into savings at Auto Centers Nissan Herculaneum. They've got some of their best financing and best pricing of the year, and it's all there at Herculaneum. Over 700 vehicles all in one location. We're talking about brand new and pre-owned vehicles like Pathfinders, Rogues, Altimas. If you're not looking for a Nissan, no problem. They've got all sorts of different makes and models there for various pre-owned vehicles. Again, over 700 vehicles all there in one location. If you need to give your bank account a break, no payments for 3 months on select new and used vehicles are available. They've got their 0% APR on select new Nissans like the Pathfinder and the Rogue. Financing terms as long as 84 months. It's all going on at Auto Centers Nissan out in Herculaneum. Again, as always, you hear me say this all the time, 30-day new car return promise, complimentary lifetime warranty on new Nissans and eligible used vehicles, as well as the complimentary one-year maintenance on new Nissan purchases as well. Tell them Stalter sent you when you go out to Herculaneum. Check them out online, autocentersnissan.com.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals take on the San Francisco Giants tonight. Miles Michaelis on the mound for the Redbirds. First pitch is at 9:15. We'll talk with Katie Woo at 5:30, so stay tuned for that interview. We'll talk about the article she posted on The Athletic. A lot of interesting nuggets coming out of that. So make sure you stay tuned for Katie Woo's interview at 5:30 right here on the Fast Lane. We have some meaningful baseball for you tonight on 101 ESPN. It's the Brewers and the Mets. Pregame starts at 6:30. We have What's Trending coming up next. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
It's time to find out what's going on in the sports world with What's Trending Now. Brought to you by Goodwill. Donate a car and get tickets to the St. Louis Cardinals.
Welcome back to the Fast Lane here on 101 ESPN with Anthony Stalter, Jamie Rivers, and Carey Davis. I'm Andrew Marsh, and it's time for What's Trending. Today is Freedom Friday, so we are heading back to the Air Comfort Service text line. This one comes from the 618, and this is topical. This is what's trending. The Fighting Illini.
Yeah, baby.
ILL.
INI.
Anytime to talk about our Illini and their big game this weekend, question mark, ILL.
INI.
Illinois taking on Penn State this weekend.
Yeah, Penn State going down.
Yeah,
that's an easy game.
Tomorrow,
Tomorrow,
going down.
yeah.
Looking forward to it. I mean, it's going to be so exciting. I've talked about this. Illinois is playing really, really well. Defensively, I don't know how they play man-to-man as much as they do, but they do. They're going to play it. They're going to get after it. Their cornerbacks and their safeties are playing at an extremely high level. If they don't turn the ball over, they run the football a little bit better than they did last week. Luke Allmeyer had 4 touchdowns passing. He threw 0 interceptions. He did fumble once. But they played great football last week at Nebraska, which I feel like was a moment to prepare them for Penn State. Penn State, in my opinion, is probably the best venue to play at night in the Big Ten. And I don't even think it's close. Like, it's in the middle of nowhere. When you look outside of the stadium, you see nothing. It looks like you're looking into the abyss. Like, it's nothing. There's just empty space. There are going to be hundreds of thousands of people. I don't think they decided to make it a whiteout, but they called it whiteout energy. So they'll probably have a lot of white T-shirts on, and they will be extremely loud, and it will be crazy. But I said this on the broadcast last week when I was doing the game in Nebraska. The best sound you can hear as an opponent on the road is silence. And then Brett Bielema talked about it. He said as the road team, you control the volume. Like, you control the volume of the home team stadium.
Yeah.
You're playing well, they're quiet. You're playing poorly, they get really loud. So you can control the volume of how loud Penn State will be tomorrow night. ILL, INI. We're going to keep, at some point, we're going to have Illinois and Mizzou passing in the rankings. I'll be excited about that day. We're going in the right direction.
We're going to text from the 312. Illinois is really in trouble now with Anthony on board.
Yeah.
Oh, boy,
that's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
You may want to push him off.
Nah,
Carey.
Anthony, go ahead and say what you said last week about the Illini.
Oh, no.
I wasn't here.
Listen, this Penn State team's a fraud.
No! What are you doing?
Yeah, one of the biggest frauds I've ever seen. Can they throw the forward pass? Have they figured that out yet?
Anthony, I don't like what you're doing here. Penn State did play a really close game against Bowling Green at home. Kent State is a blood donor, so Kent State has lost, I think, by like 200. They're like minus 200
Exactly.
in
Who's Penn
points.
State beaten? West Virginia?
West Virginia and Bowling Green.
Okay.
And Kent State. But again, Kent State has been a blood donor this year.
So Illinois beat a ranked Kansas team and a ranked Nebraska team. Nebraska on the road.
And a really pesky Central Michigan squad.
And a
Fire
really
chips.
pesky Central Michigan squad that pushed that day.
They did.
Yeah.
So we just talked about Illinois. We got a text from the 314. Mizzou is idle and will still drop in the rankings with the performance of the past 2 weeks. Do you guys agree with that?
I do.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yes.
Possibly.
Unless there's a bunch of big upsets.
Who's in front of them? Texas, Georgia, and Alabama. Not Georgia and Alabama. Alabama and Georgia play this week, right?
This is Alabama, Georgia week.
Yep. They play each other.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Tennessee is
Did not know
playing
that.
Arkansas. That'll be fine.
Texas A&M is playing Arkansas. Is that what you said?
No, I said Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Tennessee is playing.
Oh, no. Tennessee is off this week.
Yeah.
They play Arkansas next week.
Yeah, Texas A&M is playing Arkansas. So Alabama, Georgia.
Michigan could jump Mizzou. USC could. I mean, hell, the Illini could jump Mizzou.
I mean, if Illinois beats Penn State, though, Penn State would slide back. I don't know. Whatever. I do think that Mizzou could slide back because they're idle.
Couple spots, unfortunately.
And let's keep in mind too that the last time anybody saw Mizzou play, they went to double overtime against Vanderbilt. So
Correct.
that's gonna be stuck in everybody's mind too when it comes to rankings.
Well, ILL.
I.
There you go.
Fire up Illini.
No.
I don't think that's
I
the.
don't think that's right.
Yeah. What is? Well, I guess it's just ILL.
I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I said, fire up Illini.
It's not that intimidating.
You got to be there, Jamie.
I guess.
You get there. Let me tell you something. So we win this game and we play Michigan in a couple of weeks. All right, let me tell you, it's going to be loud in old Champaign, Illinois.
Who came up with the 3 letters first? That chant. Who did that? Mizzou or Illinois?
That's probably Illinois. We lead
I don't know.
in all things.
I don't know. It's a good one for the text line. They like to research things. Get after it.
Yeah.
Like,
because
who
we won.
copied who?
I don't know.
I
It's
just
a good
told
question.
you. Mizzou copied us.
How do you
But
say
you
that?
don't know that.
You
I do
don't
know
know
that.
it. You don't
Illinois
know
is
it,
the
Carey.
gold standard. Can't help it. You know? It's just how things go.
Illinois is the gold standard?
Yeah,
Is that
that's
what I
what he
heard?
said.
That's
Yeah.
what I said.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
That's what he said.
I mean, Carey,
Guy's
I
drunk.
love you, okay?
Guy's drunk on a
Oh,
Friday.
my goodness.
On a Freedom Friday. Carey misunderstood the assignment. Got hammered before.
He got sauced up.
I am ready to roll, fellas.
So he's got a
Just
seatbelt on his
because-
chair.
I
Yeah.
do, so I don't fall out.
Just because we're free to talk about whatever doesn't mean you're free to say that kind of crap.
No, I'm
That's
going to
a
say
good
it.
point.
I had a coach that coached at Mizzou one time and was talking about crap about Illinois. Said something. I said, oh, yeah, everybody couldn't go to Illinois. Probably couldn't get in, could you? It's okay. He was bothered.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, he was pissed. I didn't care. He didn't talk crap about my school.
So you just go after him personally.
Personal attack. And his school. It's funny. Thought it was hilarious.
All right, that's what's trending here in the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Freedom Friday continues here on 101 ESPN. Friday here on 101 ESPN. So that means whatever you want to discuss or want us to discuss, send it in to the Air Comfort Service text line 314-399-9646. Carey Davis, Jamie Rivers, I'm Anthony Stalter. It's your turn. Don't miss out. Marsh, what do you got?
From the 314, I'm assuming Jamie likely has the most insight on this. I'm going to Toronto for the Blues-Leafs game in October with a buddy. Other than the Hockey Hall of Fame and trying authentic poutine, is there anywhere else I should hit, sightseeing or food-wise, as a die-hard hockey fan?
As a hockey fan, Wayne Gretzky's restaurant is there. It's pretty cool. It's kind of like a Hockey Hall of Fame. Has a whole bunch of his personal stuff and things that from other teammates that he played with. It's a pretty good little spot, too. Pretty good food. He should go check out the old Maple Leaf Gardens. I believe, I know it's still around, and they do have tours that go through there. That's where Toronto Maple Leafs, that's their historic rink for, way back when. It's pretty awesome to go check that out. Non-hockey related, get up there in the CN Tower. That thing's awesome. It's kind of like the Empire State Building or the Needle in Seattle. CN Tower is way up there. They have tours that run, I think, all day long. It's pretty cool, so I'd check that out.
Never been to Canada, so
really
can't help you. Yeah,
I've been to Vancouver.
And there's another place, too. It's called the Landing Strip. You should just check that out.
Is that where the planes fly into?
Yeah, there's planes. And another one, it's called the Brass Rail. Great food.
Sounds like my type of establishments.
Check those out.
I love Vancouver. When
So I hear.
Went to Vancouver once. It was beautiful.
It's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Very peaceful and smells great. Yeah, smells great.
Anthony, you should go to London, Ontario. It's a great spot.
Yeah.
Should go to Owen Sound in January.
Is it cold?
There's nothing. For miles around, nothing. It's like being sentenced to prison.
Oh,
Siberia.
Yeah, pretty much.
Did you guys see what the interview or the reporter asked Craig Berube the other day that the team was 0-2 in preseason? Toronto fans are crazy.
They're 0-2 in preseason. He was already fielding questions about it?
Yeah.
They're like, are you worried at all? And he was like, his face was like someone farted in his face. He was like, what? I'm not worried.
Preseason. Don't matter?
Wow.
Really?
Not really.
They don't keep. If preseason mattered,
They would put
the
it on your
stats
record.
for each player would carry over into the regular season, and the record would count in the standings, right?
This is true.
Since none of those things happen, it kind of doesn't matter.
Keep going. So, Blues fans, relax.
Seriously. Well, 618 is not happy.
Well, no, of course not.
Blues are awful. They're embarrassing.
You got to be
he says.
excited about
Yeah.
what's happening for the
He
Blues.
asked, the 618 also asked Berube about the fact that the Maple Leafs.
I said, how can you tolerate being 0-2?
Exactly.
Disgusting.
618 is also a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs media. Just goes back and forth, does his thing.
Can we go back real quick to the Illini Mizzou thing? Because
Yeah, sure.
There was questions about who started ILL, and then the MIZ.
Yeah.
We don't have proof of that. But we do have proof that Mizzou claims to have started homecoming in 1911. There's a school that actually had a homecoming in 1910. That's 1 year prior. That would be the University of Illinois. I just want everybody to know that. Which means, Mizzou fans, stop it. Stop the nonsense.
Do you
Stop.
think they use that in their recruiting?
Oh, yeah.
By the way, we started homecoming.
We did this.
Yeah.
Now you want to play here.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And I think all of the nice facilities that they have, I think they show them the new weight room and the locker room and the
There's a
helmets
pamphlet
and
of all the things
jerseys.
that we started first.
Have I ever told you guys the story of my brother being recruited to play college hockey?
No.
So he was heavily recruited. He was a good player, and so different colleges would have him come in and do a visit. So Northeastern had him come to Boston area for a campus visit and all this stuff. And so he's like, okay, I'll check it out. Like, my dad and mom were like, go check out everything, see what you like. So they get to the Boston area and they're driving around. Campus is beautiful. He's like, this is awesome. Like Northeastern's, I never really thought about that. They got pretty good hockey teams. Hey, they bumped him up on the list. It's about 3 weeks later, Harvard calls him for a visit. And so he goes to check out Harvard. He's got good grades. He's a smart kid. He's a dork. No, I'm just kidding. You're awesome. You're awesome, Sean. I love you. Mumsy, I know you're listening. Don't get mad at me.
You're going to get
7 minutes, so get it. So Harvard takes him on this visit, and as they're going along, he's seeing a lot of the same things. And so he says to the Harvard recruiter, he goes, well, why are you showing me Northeastern? He goes, pardon me, son? He goes, why are you showing me Northeastern? He's like, this is Harvard, son. He goes, I was just here like 3 weeks ago. He goes, yeah, they took you to our campus.
No, really?
Yes. So my dad gets on the phone with the recruiter from Northeastern and says, hey, Sean just had a great visit with Harvard. Unfortunately, he thought it was Northeastern because that's the same campus you showed him.
Wow.
So the guy was kind of scrambling, and he was like, well, no, I just like to show the recruits like all of the things that are offered in the Boston area. My dad goes, yeah, good one, buddy. Got off the phone, and they're like, you can scratch that one off.
So
That's shady. What was going to be the plan? When
Sean showed up on campus,
too late.
Listen,
Too late.
Yeah.
Once you sign that letter of intent and you get on campus,
Too late.
it's over.
Yep.
It is over. Like I'm telling you, I had
sounds
a
like a
coach.
lawsuit.
Nah,
that's bad.
listen, they probably showed him some of Northeastern as well.
He did.
Showed him certain parts,
Mixed
and
and
he
matched.
just
They're not far from each other.
Weaved his way through, and here's this building, and here, and you're like,
All I said was this was a building.
It's a kid from Ottawa, Canada.
Yeah, you don't know.
He doesn't really know. It's never been to
Right.
Boston before. He's like, oh, this is kind of neat.
that's funny.
Bush League.
Oh, yeah, it was
That's a
Bush League.
funny story, though.
We laugh about it now.
Yeah.
He'd have been upset had he gone there.
Yeah, no kidding.
Realized, oh, where's the buildings you were showing? Oh, no. You got to go to Harvard to go to that.
Yeah.
They're down the street.
Wait, what?
I was shown that building. All right, it's Fast on 101 ESPN. Keep your Freedom Friday topics rolling in. 314-399-9646, Air Comfort Service tax line. Or the Snake Pit is alive and well, too. Airlines Team YouTube channel at 101 ESPN STL. We'll continue Freedom Friday next. Time Check is brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Carey Davis, Jamie Rivers, I'm Anthony Stalter. Andrew Marsh has got the next Freedom Friday topic for us.
All right, let's go to the Air Comfort Service text line. The 314 wants to know, after last night in today's injury report, when do you think Dallas will win another game? Not looking good for the Cowboys.
No, it's not at all. I know they won last night against the Giants. It's a team that they have dominated before, but it certainly wasn't easy. And the injury report, not great. So you had Micah Parsons go off on a cart last night. You saw Diggs was kind of grimacing,
cramping up.
Yeah,
I think he had a cramp.
So hopefully that's good. Yeah, okay. So it says right here dehydration. He's questionable, but. Yeah, apparently Micah Parsons got a neck injury, and they're just
Lawrence had a foot thing as well. He was on the sideline getting taped. I think Micah Parsons ended up with it was an ankle injury, high ankle sprain for him. But either way,
he may have had both because they're saying I'm looking at it right now, and it says neck.
Okay,
so, maybe it was Mark Slaughter. So I was like, whatever. They're banged up.
Mm-hmm.
Dallas is banged up, and they can't run the ball.
No,
at all.
No.
When they got the ball back, when unfortunately Malik Neighbors, who had another massive game last night, when Malik Neighbors unfortunately got concussed trying to sell out for that pass along the sidelines that would have kept the ball, I thought to myself, I'm like, Dallas is not going to be able to run this clock out. They're not going to be able to pick up enough first downs, get it deep enough into Giants territory, and make sure that Daniel Jones doesn't see the ball again. They can't run. Dowell had 46 yards on 11 carries. Zeke is a fine complimentary back, but he's not a go-to guy. Like
they have no running game whatsoever
at all.
If I was Dallas, I'd be on the hunt right now, even if I'm trying to trade for a backup running back that is a backup simply because he's on a team that has a really good running back.
Right.
You got to find something that's going to work here. It's dreadful.
Yeah.
Well, they had a chance this offseason. They didn't want to spend money on
they couldn't afford it.
Derrick Henry.
They couldn't afford it.
I
Jerry
think they
Jones
could
said.
have. Man, I don't agree.
Not if you're gonna pay Dak and CeeDee Lamb and
you
eventually Micah
paid
Parsons
him earlier, and you'd have saved yourself some money.
You're still looking at cap hell, I think.
Well, you'd have probably saved yourself $5 to $10 million, which
maybe
I don't know what Derrick Henry is making right now, but I don't think it's more than 12.
Sure.
So you would have been able to figure that out some way somehow.
Do you think that Dak wanted to wait too, though? Because he knows.
I don't think he did. I think he was fine with going into the offseason as a free agent. I think that but why would that bother him? He was going to make a ton of money either way. I think the Dallas Cowboys missed out because they didn't sign him. Like, you should have been signing him earlier and getting that money out of the way and making sure that it wasn't up to $60 million. Again, if it was 52 or 55, that's still $5 to $7 million a year that you're saving, which you could have allocated towards a running back. Same thing with CeeDee Lamb. Saved yourself $5 million. Now you're at 12. Like, you could have saved yourself some time, some money, and allocated that in other places. Jerry Jones decided not to do that. He waited to the very last minute, signed both of them at the most that they could possibly want or get. And then you put yourself in a position where when you get late in the fourth quarter, you know you can't run the football. They cannot. Last night they finally did stop the run, but that's because the New York Giants can't run the ball either really well, in my opinion. And you can't run the football. Like, you're going to struggle late in games if you don't know how to run the football to finish games out. 4-minute offense is when everybody in the stadium knows we got to run the football, pick up 2 first downs, and get out of here. Sometimes it's 1 first down. That's what they needed.
Yep.
They got the 1. They needed 1 more. And so, you're going to have trouble trying to finish games out if you can't do that.
Again, I think the Cowboys are in trouble. I mean, 2-2 right now. They did what they had to do last night. Great uniforms. I wish they wear those things every
I do love
week.
those.
Those
like
uniforms are awesome.
Oh, man.
I can't wait to see
the star. Oh, yeah.
I can't wait to see the Lions on Monday night. They're going all black with, like, the bright blue helmet.
Oh, yeah.
I think it looks pretty sharp.
All right.
Oh, stop it, Marshy.
Marsh is a uniform snob.
Well, today he's kind of been
surly today.
Yeah, so, Andrew, let's talk. Okay, just for a second here.
Okay.
If you're going to get up super early in the morning to go be a part of another show.
That's what it is.
And then
I
you're
forgot.
grumpy when it's showtime for our show.
That's what it is.
grumpy.
He
can't
is.
be
You
that
are
way.
grumpy.
It's not my fault the jerseys look terrible.
It's just like if a guy goes out the night before a game and parties hard, he can't show up the next day and stink.
Yeah, he gotta
I mean,
perform.
on the ice.
Yeah. Well,
Listen.
he gotta get in the
Is it
hot
my
tub,
fault
shower.
that there's no hot tub, cold tub, and a stationary bike? That does
rain.
not exist right here in the studio.
Go run around in the rain a little bit.
Yeah, you.
It's not the same.
I know. I'm giving you all I got here.
I'm just saying.
Just clean it up, okay?
Black on blue does not look good.
But have you seen the bright blue?
It looks dumb.
Oh, my goodness. I don't even know who this guy is anymore.
Their
so
normal
angry.
jerseys are awesome with the blue face mask. They brought the blue face mask
I
back.
like
It
the
looks
gray. You
crisp.
talking about the gray?
The
gray
gray-
uniforms?
No. Like the Lions home and
I like the gray
road
uniforms.
uniforms.
I like the gray
I don't
ones.
really like those either.
Marshy, whose uniforms do you like?
The Vikings.
In the NFL?
Yeah.
I like, let's see here. I think the Chiefs have
those are
really
ugly.
good uniforms. I think the Bills have really crisp uniforms. The Packers have good uniforms. I like the Vikings uniforms, but I wish they'd go back to the ones when Randy Moss was playing.
I think they should go with jerseys that have logos on them. Have I ever talked to you guys about that?
Jamie wanted the big logo on the front of NFL
Yeah,
jerseys.
you get the big
Why?
numbers on the back. You don't need them on the front.
Oh, no. Jamie, that's terrible.
No, you've never seen it, have you?
I and don't want to.
There you go.
Be a lot of logo.
Yeah. Don't need it. No thanks.
Just wait. Somebody's going to do it, and you're going to love it.
I think Indianapolis has good uniforms. They're just like very.
I like the Eagles uniforms.
The Eagles have good
The
uniforms.
best uniform is the Titans, the baby blue.
Oh, goodness.
That's the Houston Oilers.
That's Houston Oilers, though.
The Houston
It
Oilers.
doesn't matter who they are. I mean, it says the Houston
I do
Oilers
like
don't
those.
They
exist.
ripped it off.
Yeah.
It's the Tennessee Titans.
They ripped it off.
Well,
you can't
it's the same.
celebrate a uniform from a
You guys
team
are
that you're
so
not.
disrespectful.
Like the
They are.
the throwback Niners uniforms are sick. Those are really
nice.
cool.
With the
Those are
black.
No, not the black uniforms.
No, not
but
all
the
black,
black
but the
on
black
the block
edge.
on the numbers.
Yes. I like those a
are
lot.
sweet.
Yeah. It's just a little outline.
I know.
Black outline.
I'm just listening.
Some of
Yeah,
these,
but you're
like,
listening with stank on your face.
The Eagles, the Kelly Green jerseys for the Eagles are awesome. No, I'm scrolling right now. I have to go look. Yeah.
I don't like
Fine.
remember Tampa Bay's old uniforms? Those were horrible.
The creamsicles?
Yeah, the
No, not those.
Ah,
the
the
Jameis
cream.
Winston era.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Those,
pewter?
Those were awful.
Horrible.
Yeah.
This is the pewter?
Yeah.
those were bad.
And
Those were
all
terrible.
it took was Tom Brady to come into the organization, probably say, by the way, I'm not wearing this. And they
that
switched
uniform
it.
you've got?
Yeah.
I ain't wearing that.
You know that coach? He's got two. No, we can't fire him. All right, unplug him. then.
Unplug the headphones.
Do you guys think that, I was thinking about this the other day, do you guys think that the NFL will ever put ads on their jerseys?
Probably.
So the NFL is probably the one league that just doesn't need to
It
do it.
doesn't have to, but-
except they're so greedy.
Money to be made.
You will see at one point that classic Pittsburgh Steelers with like DraftKings.
They started doing it for the practice jerseys, if I'm not mistaken. Like the practice uniforms, I think have logos on them, but not the
Hugh
game.
Gisoli from the Snake Pit goes, best jerseys of all time are the Great Britain jerseys in the last WBC.
Oh, my goodness.
It's amazing.
That was the
art.
paint one.
Yeah, numbers, names peeling off.
Just print this out. It's fine.
So bad. It's iron on. Each player got their own letters to iron on.
Oh man, you do it yourself. We got to save some money here.
Oh, man.
Not great.
Yeah.
All right. It's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. We'll talk a little. Why don't we talk a little NFL? Carey, you did say that Daniel Jones didn't, and I quote, didn't look that bad last
Did
night.
not. Looked well protected.
Didn't look bad. Didn't look that bad last night.
You keep them upright. Might have. I mean, it helps. Yeah. Got some guys.
If you look at that NFC East, Marsh kind of brought this up before. I can't go there because defensively, I think they're horrible. And I do think at some point, defenses are going to just make adjustments to what Cliff Kingsbury's doing. But do you think the Commanders have a chance to at least stick in there?
No, I think the Eagles are the best team. I know people will complain about Nick Sirianni's play calling and what he's done and the loss to the Falcons a few weeks ago. I didn't dislike the call. I thought it was the right call, just didn't execute it, and they lost the game. Last week against the Saints, they only scored 15 points, but again, they had a bunch of injuries, people going down throughout that game and going into that game. I think the Eagles are the elite team in that division. The Commanders,
wild card. I'm just saying. I'm not saying win the division. Just do you think they can hang around and be a wild card? Because I think eventually
they might grow into that. I don't think it'll be this year though.
Yeah,
I don't think it'll be this year. I think they're still a year or two away. Jaden Daniels has played. He played well, really well last week. I thought that was amazing. But I don't think that they are there yet. I think it's the Eagles. The Cowboys will figure it out because they'll let Dak throw it 45 to 50 times if need be, since they can't run the ball.
Be good and then bury the bodies.
And then it'll be and then the Commanders and then the Giants at the bottom. But I like who the Eagles are. I think once they get healthy, A.J. Brown back healthy, Devontae Smith and all of those guys back healthy, Saquon Barkley is a difference maker. I'm sure the New York Football Giants wish he was still on their roster. That was a dumb decision. But, you live and you learn. Saquon Barkley, a difference maker. They're going to find a way to get all those guys involved. And defensively, I think they're going to continue to grow into a better unit as well.
Yeah, I think the Eagles win that division too. They should be 3-0. Nick Sirianni made a horrible decision at the end of the Falcon game. It was a horrible decision.
It was not.
Run the damn ball. Run it twice. Run the clock.
The horrible decision was the first drive when he didn't kick the field goal then.
It can be
No.
Because the man refuses to kick field goals. Meanwhile, Green Bay, all they do is kick field goals, and they're 2-1 with a backup quarterback.
Let's see how long that lasts.
Take the damn points.
You should have taken them in the first quarter. Correct.
Andy Reid takes the points too.
You should have taken him in the first quarter. We cannot. No, he doesn't. He'll go for it on 4th and 15 from his own 12.
4th and 50.
Yeah, whatever.
And if not, he'll fake punt it.
Yeah, we're going for this damn thing.
Oh,
what are
he's punting. Oh, no, he's not. No, it's a fake.
I don't think the call was wrong. I think it was the right decision. The execution was not there. That's what we talk about as coaches. I can call the greatest play of all time.
Yeah.
And the guy cannot do his job properly. And then I can call the worst play of all time. And then I get a guy who doesn't get tackled in the backfield or sacked in the backfield like Eli Manning and throws a ball and it sticks to a receiver's head. That's a terrible call. Didn't protect him well. He made a play. Mm-hmm. Like, those things happen. So, for me, it will always be about the players making plays. Saquon got to catch that ball. Man, no questions, ifs, ands, or buts about it. He has to make that catch. First down, game over. We're 3-0.
Hey, I actually agree that it was the perfect play call. I do. Full stop on that.
But
it's not about the play call. It's about the decision to win to try to win the game.
Yeah, you want to win the game.
Exactly. You can't put the ball in the air there with no timeouts on the other side.
You still have a chance. The Falcons still have a chance.
With what, 58 seconds?
Yeah.
Maybe 44
Have you seen Kirky Cousins play football, man? He's never seen Kirk Cousins play. This guy. Did you see Kirk Cousins lead them down the damn field and score the way
Carey,
that they did? Did you watch that?
At that point, he wasn't Kirky football yet.
He was still
Kirky Cousins.
They kicked the field goal, and Kirk Cousins led the
because
Falcons
they had more
down
time
the
on
field,
the clock.
Led them down the field for a touchdown. He's amazing.
This guy's
made $300 million playing quarterback. What are you talking about?
That's because he's got photos of everybody in the league. It's clear. Freedom Friday continues next on 101 ESPN. It's a Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. We continue our Freedom Friday. Jamie Rivers, Carey Davis, Anthony Saltis is where you get to pick the topics for the full hours of the show. Marsh, what else we got?
From the 618, can we get Jamie's end of the year Cardinals press conference? He's always been a good PR person for the Cardinals.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you have.
All right.
He speaks highly for them.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you all being here today, and I'm sure all of Cardinal Nation probably tuned in here. First of all, I want to apologize for a couple of baseball seasons that just did not go our way. Certainly wasn't through lack of effort, but the execution clearly didn't work. Moving forward, I, John Mozeliak, will be stepping down in certain roles within the organization. Chaim Bloom has been taking over our development department, along with other things as well. And we are committed to bringing a good product back here to St. Louis. The fans deserve it, and our players deserve it. We will be going with a little bit of a youth movement. That doesn't mean it will be nothing but youth. I think it's important that veteran leadership is still inside the clubhouse, helping these young men develop their game both on the field and off the field. But I can tell you this, without a doubt, that the St. Louis Cardinals are committed to not just getting back to somewhat winning baseball. We're committed to winning divisions and going back and winning titles. Please be patient with us over the next year or two, because we are turning this thing around. This team will compete for a championship in the near future, and we will bring back baseball here to St. Louis.
All right.
Wow.
Holy moly.
I'm fired up, honestly.
You know what? Hey.
I'm in.
I'm getting season tickets.
Yeah.
How much?
Take my money.
Please.
Wait, we're supposed to be asking the questions.
Yeah. Yeah,
So what went wrong?
So why can't they say that?
What's that?
Exactly what you just said.
They won't.
Yeah.
They just won't. It's an attitude thing. It's an ego thing. They won't, because knowingly admitting that you've done things wrong and that what you thought would work didn't work somehow makes some people feel like they're lesser than. I feel like it empowers people. I have screwed up a lot in life, Anthony. I don't know if you know that. Okay. A couple of times were really big mistakes. Okay?
Yeah, sure.
But a lot of small mistakes.
Sure.
And I'm not afraid to admit it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I'm never too big to say, you know what? I screwed up. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have talked that way. I shouldn't have done whatever. To me, it just empowers you then. You know, okay, you're learning from your mistakes. There is a certain amount of egg that you wear on your face after you do that, but that's healthy. I think it's healthy. If someone can't ever admit that they're wrong or that they've made mistakes, they're weak.
Yeah, they're
I think they're weak.
Right.
They're insecure. They're weak. And so for me, I screw up, and it happens probably on a daily basis. Sometimes I'm right. Sometimes I'm wrong. When I'm wrong, I will admit it.
Same. I agree. You're right. It's the truth. Look, the truth will set you free. You do have to admit it. Take ownership in it. Try not to do it again. But if you're not self-aware, then, like the Cardinals, we've talked about this before. I don't think the Cardinals are self-aware.
Right.
So this article that Katie Wu wrote about, and we are going to talk to Katie at 5:30 today. We talked about it at the start of the show. The first thing is, can you become self-aware? It seems like the Cardinals might know now that finally there's an issue and they have to address it and not just put a Band-Aid over it. They can't go to the hardware store and just get the cheapest, plaster they can find and just keep going over the hole. The leak's still behind there. Now there's mold. Like,
Yeah, it just gets worse.
You got to tear the wall down. You got to clean up the mold, and then you can start to rebuild. And fans are just going to have to be patient. And I know you don't want to hear that, but the alternative is they continue to just plaster over the wall with cheap ingredients or materials, cheap materials, and the problem never gets fixed. It's still behind the wall. So
the mold will ruin some things.
Mold will, yeah.
And it's not good for you.
It's unhealthy.
Yeah.
Should make sure you take care of that.
Exactly.
Tear it down to the studs and start over. It's what you have to do when you are dealing with moldy issues.
But then you better make sure you use the right products. You rebuild it the right way.
You can't go cheap with these things.
Yeah.
Joe Boo's jockstrap in the snake pit goes, come on, Anthony, just throw some paint over it.
They do have certain things. Kills, kind of.
They do.
Kills
Yeah.
the but you don't want to do that. You want to start from scratch.
Kills is fine for like certain stains and things like that.
Yeah.
When Chris and I first bought a condo, it was rough. Like whoever's in there before, pets, smoke, everything. We did like layers of kills.
Oh, yeah.
I'm still high.
Did it work?
Ish. That's how bad it was.
Smell it, Anthony. You got to pull the carpet up.
We did.
I bought a house from a former Rams player. He'll remain nameless. He had been traded, and he just left the house with a bunch of his buddies to live there. I reached out to him at one point, and I was like, listen, they're not taking care of your home. I'll buy the house from you. And he agreed to sell it to me, so I bought the house. I walked in the first day, and they had dogs in there. I don't think they ever let the dogs out. So there was
there was a whole song
crap
about that, too.
and pee. Carpet was saturated with dog urine. The walls had spray paint all over them because apparently they're sitting in there, enjoying some of the
Finer things in life.
Yeah.
the greener things,
Yeah.
So the whole house smelled like cannabis, and it smelled like pee, and I couldn't believe I didn't know it was in that bad a shape. I get my painter guy and my contractor guy, and they're like, okay, we'll take care of this. The contractor guy was in there for 5 minutes. He comes out puking outside because as he's ripping up the carpet, like the waft of like the dog pee was so bad.
You gotta have a mask on.
So yeah, he masked up after that, and then every room in the house had kills on the floor, walls.
That's what we did.
Ceiling.
We did. We did that. We rolled after we ripped up the carpet, we rolled the subfloor with kills because it was just
it was terrible.
It soaks through the carpet.
Yeah.
It's bad. That's not great.
Not at all.
The Cardinals are there right now.
Yeah. I don't know if it's that bad. That's more like the A's. With the poop and stuff.
They just left the house. They left it like they left
did.
it.
You're right. They just left the house. You're right. Yeah.
The A's are like, the hell with this house. We'll
Maybe
just
the White
get a new
Sox
one.
right now.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like those guys had a good time in their youth. From the 636, compare your weekends now to what they used to be prior to kids.
Oh man! Well, you know how we call this freedom. We call this Freedom Friday. Yeah. Just free.
Yeah,
freedom.
A lot more freedom. You were
Whatever the
looking
hell I wanted to
forward
do.
to the weekend, going out.
Yeah,
like hanging out, drinking.
Oh, the weekend is it's still filled with more stuff.
My weekends back then didn't consist of a whole lot of daylight.
There you go. Nighttime. You move around when it's dark.
The daylight would be like when the sun's coming up.
Yeah.
Whoop, time to
go to bed.
See you guys at dinner.
Like a vampire.
Yeah, pretty much. So my brother called me that one time. Went down to live with my brother in Atlanta. He was playing in the minors in the IHL. The Atlanta Knights was the team. My season in junior hockey had ended. So I was just like, I'm going to come down and see you, Sean. He's like, yeah, great. Move into his house with him. And I had a room in the basement. And I don't know if I saw daylight for like 2.5 weeks.
Nice.
At one point, my brother's like, you do know that like you're allowed to get up during the day.
You're not a vampire.
Then he goes, I want you every day. You got to at least get out of the house during the day and go up to get the mail. And the mail, like that, a big like a driveway was downhill to the house. So I had to walk up this hill to get to the mailbox. And the first couple times I walked up, it's hot out. I'm like stopping halfway, like feel like I might be sick,
Yeah.
And I turn around with the mail, and my brother's standing there like a father, arms crossed, shaking his head. And you expect to be a professional athlete?
That's awesome.
I was like, it's in the off season, man.
This one time we at Central Michigan, we rolled out. It was it's quite a night. We roll out of the dorms or wherever the hell we were at, right? And we're all outside. And my buddy he goes, what is that? I look at him. I go, that's the sun. He said, what is that?
That is
Bro,
awesome.
it's the sun. It's always been up there. All right, Freedom Friday continues next on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals looking to get back in the win column after losing to the Colorado Rockies yesterday. They'll take on the San Francisco Giants. Miles Michaelis on the mound tonight. First pitch is at 9:15. We'll talk with Katie Woo from The Athletic at 5:30, so stay tuned for that. Tonight on 101 ESPN, you can listen to Brewers and Mets. Pregame starts at 6:30. It's a Freedom Friday, so continue getting in your topics. Send them to the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646. Freedom Friday continues right here in the Fast Lane. I'm Andrew Marsh, and this Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
It's Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. We've got a Freedom Friday that's continuing today. So any topic that you have wanted to discuss or have us discuss that we don't, send it in. Or maybe it's just something that you thought was interesting and you want us to, discuss it today. Great. Air Comfort Service tax line 314-399-9646. The Airlines Team YouTube channel, The Snake Pit, 101 ESPN STL, or you can always leave us a mic drop as well via the 101 ESPN app. Marsh, let's continue.
All right. Well, I just want to go back to that previous topic we were discussing about the carpet that had dog pee in it. Sure. And, sometimes, the houses, it can get moldy and all that stuff. We got a text from the 314. We did compare that house to the Cardinals. John Mold Zaylock.
Oh, wow.
Thought that was funny.
That was pretty funny. Yeah, I'll give it to you.
Unfortunate.
So
That is unfortunate, too. Yep.
Yeah. You don't want
But, hey, you don't like it,
you don't like it, play better?
play better.
That's
Play
what
better,
they say.
be better.
Can the Cardinals be better?
Sure.
Will they be better?
Maybe
Will they win more games next year than they won this year?
I don't know. But
you
you
need
know
to see
what?
the roster looks like?
No, I need to see. Yeah, I need to see what the roster looks like, but I also need to know what the vision is, what the direction is. Because if it's just Mo doing his thing again, then I don't think you're going to be any better. And that's not just a Mo problem.
It's the players. I keep telling you.
I agree.
Mold.
Mo. Yeah.
Mold.
Duh.
No, Mo.
Mold.
Duh.
Mold Zaylock.
Mold Zaylock. Yeah.
We got a question from the 314. This is a question for CD. How do teams know what personnel to put on the field on offense for each play? It seems like that has to be controlled chaos to get the call and the personnel on the field in time.
So offensively, personnel is usually numbers based. So if I say 21, that's 2 running backs and one tight end. We never count the receivers. Running backs always go first.
They're people too, Carey.
No, yeah, we don't. You don't care. You don't care.
All right.
If I say 10, that's 1 running back, 0 tight ends, which means it's always going to equal to 5. So 1 running back, 0 tight ends, 4 receivers are on the field. So that's generally how you go about it. Running backs are the first number. The second number is the tight ends, and then you don't count the receivers. You just add those first 2 numbers up, and whatever is left gets you to 5. So you'll say 21-21. That means we got 2 running backs running in, 1 tight end. The 2 receivers know that they're in 21. Those are the 2 receivers that run in. So, and sometimes, in college we had hand signals. So sometimes it would be Ruby, or we would call it Opal, or we did it off of gems, stones, things like that. So there would be a hand signal for that. So you knew what personnel grouping was running on the field. The best thing for when you're running on and off the field is making sure that you don't have more than 12 people, more than 11 people in the huddle. You don't want 12. So generally the quarterback will step out so that he's not in the huddle. So even if you got too many people in the huddle, now you can get that 11th person off, and now the quarterback can step in. But you definitely need to know, you have to be locked in, you have to be paying attention. Generally, one coach is on the headsets. He's the one listening to the offensive coordinator who's telling them, hey, we're going this play, this is the personnel, and then he'll shout it out, guys run on the field, and those that are in run off the field.
So it could be pretty confusing then, because I've been on the sidelines at football games, and there are players everywhere.
Yeah.
And there's personnel everywhere, and there's trainers and ball boy and water boy. Like, there's a lot going on. So in those moments, like, how do you keep the chaos out of it? Because you're talking about 21. Okay, great. That's 2 running backs, 1 tight end. Great. But that doesn't tell me anything. Like, what if the receivers you're putting in a different receiver?
Then that receiver, so let's say a running back is hurt and he's in the 21 grouping. His backup needs to know, hey, okay, he's the fullback, but he's hurt. Now I'm in. Same thing with the receiver. If he's the X receiver and the starting X receiver is injured, he got injured on the last play, his backup has to be paying attention and knowing. And so we're all standing in one space by that coach that is signaling
in close proximity.
In close proximity. Okay. And you should not be on the other end of the field. You want to be basically, that coach is generally standing right at the line of scrimmage on the sideline. So he's right where, the ball is. He's going to be getting that information. He's going to be telling everyone on the sideline, hey, we're in 12 personnel, 1 back, 2 tight ends, 2 receivers. So now you got 2 tight ends running in and you got 1 running back running, or he's already in the game. And so you know based on personnel who is going into the game and who's coming up. But as a professional, it is your damn job to know that you're up next. And I've had a situation, so we drafted Rashard Mendenhall, who was a rookie. Willie Parker, he's the backup to Willie Parker. We call Pete. Willie got hurt in a play, and the next personnel was 12. And so Rashard needed to run out there. He was in la-la land.
Oh, my God.
Willie is on the side. So I run out there because I know we need a running back on the field, and the running back that's supposed to be, he's a rookie. He had a moment of lapse looking around. We're in Philadelphia. Oh, yeah.
Checking things out.
Yeah. It's weird. So I run out on the field. The play call is truck, which is a toss right. BA probably didn't want Carey Davis running toss right. But hell, the other running back that's supposed to be in there forgot. So we're running toss right. Toss right. So you have to be dialed in the entire time, knowing who's supposed to be on the field, because that play call is based on the personnel that the coach wants on the field at that time. So if the wrong personnel is out there, or the wrong person, i.e. Carey Davis, and he wants a tailback to run a toss sweep, yeah, it's gonna be a bad play, or the play is not going to go in the way that they wanted it to. So yeah.
How did it go?
I think it got like 2 yards, maybe.
It's better than
it wasn't blocked well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, like you said, it's all about the offensive line yesterday.
It's always offensive line.
Did Mendenhall?
Oh, he got yeah. Because we need you to be dialed in, and that's just one incident. Like it was a mistake. It wasn't his. Those things happen though. Like you said, there is so much chaos on the sideline. I've seen guys not paying attention. Like their group is supposed to be up. That's why sometimes you'll see, why do they have 10 men on the field? Why do they have 12 men on the field? Somebody wasn't paying attention. Somebody didn't get that
last
call.
night.
My favorite's when there's 10.
What are we doing?
Whoops.
Guys, we play with 11. It happened last time when Mike McCarthy shot daggers into somebody's face there.
They had 12 on the field?
They had 12 on the field.
Yeah, because you're not paying attention. You're not dialed in. And the same thing is for defensive personnel. Like, they do the same thing. They'll have dime, which is now it's 6 DBs, 1 linebacker. And so you got all of these. They'll have nickel. They'll have base, where it might be 3 linebackers and 4 DBs. Like, you have to be able to pay attention to what personnel the offense is calling out there so the defense can match it. And if you're not dialed in, or not looking, or not knowing where you're supposed to be, you will have 10 people on the field, or you could have 12 people on the field, and you get a penalty. And now coaches are got to call timeout. They're going crazy on the sideline because they had to burn a timeout because you were not paying attention and not dialed in. Oh, it happens all the time.
That's Carey Davis, Jamie Rivers, Anthony Stalter. We will continue Freedom Friday next. It's Fastlane on 101 to ESPN. We have the Freedom Friday continuing here on 101 to ESPN. Carey Davis, Jamie Rivers, Anthony Stalter, Andrew Marsh going back to the text line.
All right, guys. Obviously, it's not a great situation going on in Oakland right now. The Athletics have played their final game at the Coliseum. A lot of people upset about that. The fans, the grounds crew. I think I saw a picture of a grounds crew member who was crying. He had been there for 31 years. Very sad. It's a very sad thing going on in Oakland. We did get a text from the 314 because we've also seen this happen in St. Louis. But knowing what happened in St. Louis and seeing where the Rams are today, this is an interesting question. From the 314, what do you think about the Rams being in the Athletics' top 10 NFL front offices? They were voted ahead of Pittsburgh.
Well, front offices, I'm assuming it's front offices as in general manager.
Football department, operations?
And maybe not like ownership.
I don't think it's business.
So
no.
I have the list. The Rams are ranked 8th, and it does list, it just says owner, general manager, head coach.
Oh, okay.
So it has all 3.
Well, the owner, I bet you what they're looking at is how deep his pockets are.
Yeah.
And the fact that he personally funded that stadium all by himself.
Yeah, not that he did everything possible to find as many loopholes as he could to get the team to L.A.
And the league, let's be honest, the league wanted the team in L.A.
Exactly. So, unfortunately for us, they're not going to view it that the way that we want them to view that.
Yeah, they have no emotional attachment.
No, and the GM Les Snead built a Super Bowl winner, and the head coach Sean McVay brought them to 2 Super Bowls. So Les Snead too brought them to 2 Super Bowls. One they lost, one they won. So I get it. I get why they would rank it that way. They're not going to consider the St. Louis thing with the ownership. They're just not.
I don't even think people think about St. Louis anymore in terms of NFL.
Which is unfortunate.
Yeah. But I would also say it's probably more so what you said more recently, winning the Super Bowl, being to a Super Bowl than the Pittsburgh Steelers have. Overall, I think the organizations, and I don't know how they treat the players in St. Louis. I mean, in Los Angeles now. I don't know how they treat those Rams players. Probably treat them really well. Probably take care of all of the things that are required. I know that people don't show up to Rams games like they do Steelers games.
Oh, no, people show up.
They're not Rams fans.
No.
Yeah, no, people show up.
Well, people do show up.
For the visiting team.
And maybe, you know what, it probably doesn't matter to the owner, like hey, butts in seats. I don't give a damn what color jersey you wear. You're here, aren't you? You had to pay for a ticket. It doesn't matter to me that it's not our fans.
You're right.
Because that 49ers game, I'm looking at I've seen, I'm like, whoa.
Well, it's a home game for the 49ers.
It is a home game for the 49ers,
Yeah.
which is absolutely ridiculous if you're the Rams.
Yeah.
But, you know, again, if your goal is to make money, you don't care what color jersey those people have on.
So true.
Right.
They're there. They pay for it. They pay for parking, and they're going to pay for food.
Yep.
And beer. So, probably doesn't matter. But, yeah, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows these things? You know?
Marsh, what else you got?
Okay. From the 314, happy Freedom Friday.
Happy Freedom Friday to you.
Thank you.
On a personal side, I would love to know what your first job and car was. The 314's was Halls Ferry 8 Cinema and a 1979 Z28. Enjoy the show.
All right. So I remember way back when I was bored in the summertime and wanted to earn some money. So I got on my bike, my 10-speed, rode my bike up to the gas station. I walked in and asked them if I could have a job. Meanwhile, at 13 years old, they're not really allowed to employ you. But the owner of the gas station, I was a man and his wife, Andy and Lee's Nato, I'll never forget them. They were so impressed that I wanted to go work that they called my parents and had them come up and sign a waiver. And so they could employ me. And they didn't even need me. They just said, you know what? We really like that this young man wants to work, and he came here. And so they would just give me like bonus hours, like Thursday and Friday night from 5 to 8 p.m. And all I did is pump gas. Go out, pump gas, clean off the windshields, things like that.
Yeah.
And I would be there for the overflow, the busy times. They'd put me on for 2 or 3 hours, and hours started to increase, and I would start to open up. And like in the mornings on Saturdays was kind of a big deal, you know. Got to the point where I was, pumping gas, and then got to the point where I was helping with oil changes and things like that in the back. And so that was my summer job after that. Every year I came back from playing junior hockey, I'd just say, hey, guys, I'm back. And no matter how many people they had on staff, they'd always hire me back.
Nice.
And give me the hours. And so that was cool of them to do that. My first car, I think I've told this story before. My dad used to work for a HVAC company, and they put in a furnace for somebody, and the guy didn't have enough money, so he gave him a car. It was a 1975 Buick Regal.
Oh, wow.
And when I got it, it had no back seat because the guy had been using it as like a delivery truck. And so I had to go to the junkyard, find a back seat. It had no stereo, so I had to go find a stereo. And this thing, it was in such bad shape that we had to sand it down, Bondo, and then paint it to pass the inspections because it wouldn't have passed the inspection. Well, my brother got this red paint. He thought it matched what it was. It was like a burgundy Buick Regal. It had a nice pleather interior. We start spray painting the car. It's like fire engine red.
Oh, wow.
It was unbelievable. And then we forgot to tape a few spots. So my tail lights on one side were painted over. But that car was amazing. I had it for 3-4 years, and way up north in Sudbury with minus friggin' 30 degrees outside. You get there and you just the old Regal would just fire up.
Yeah.
And you could carry around 7 teammates in the car with you because it was so massive.
That's awesome.
So those are my 2 things.
My first job, well, I had 2 that I would say were kind of like my first 2 jobs. One was working at Venture right off of West Florissant and Newhall Ferry. We was right there. Everyone that's from this area knows. That was my first job. That was my first job. I was really proud of myself because I went in there kind of like you said. I went in there with my good clothes on, filled out an application, and I was walking out, and the guy was like, yeah, come back. Yeah, you dressed for the job. You know what? You're hired. I don't even need to go through the entire. I'm like, oh, okay. It didn't last long. I didn't know much about what I was doing. I was just there. I just wanted to buy a cordless phone. That was my thing. I needed a job so that I could buy a cordless phone. It was a cordless phone that I wanted. I bought that, and I didn't continue to work there. I wasn't really good at my job. I knew where nothing was. Nothing. They were like, excuse me, where is this? I was like, oh, it's aisle 32. I walk away. It was terrible. I was 16. I didn't know. That was one job, and then I had another job where I used to umpire Little League baseball in the summertime out in Clayton. And so that job was an interesting one. You learn a lot about adults and people and things of that nature. And so there was a couple of instances I was an umpire. So I would be behind the plate, calling balls and strikes. There was one team that they had a catcher that couldn't catch. He did not catch a ball. Timeout. Hey, coach, you're going to have to get someone in here that can catch. We won't do this all night. I'm getting hit by every base. He could not catch. And the kid was trying. He was 10, 11, 12. But I'm getting, and it's not really hard, but it's, you keep getting hit over and over again. Like, hey, you got to get somebody in here that can catch.
Right.
Then I had another incident where there was a parent who was screaming, you know, balls and strikes, you don't know what you're doing. Just fussing, cussing, yelling. And I stopped the game. 16, hey, we won't play another minute until you leave. We sat there and didn't do anything. I just stood there, leaned up against the fence. And the kid like, Dad, go home. Get out of here. You do this all the time. Get out of here, Dad. And he finally left, and we resumed the game. But it learned about how to control a game and how to be, an adult in when I was an adult in those types of moments. My first car was a 93 Chevy Beretta.
Nice.
That was white with blue interior.
Nice.
It was a beaut. And that thing lasted for a while. It lasted until I was driving to Champaign and the window rolled down and it wouldn't roll back up. And it was January.
Oh.
And it was freezing.
Yeah.
And it was 10 o'clock at night.
Oh.
And it was a 2.5-hour ride that I turned the heat on as high as I could and leaned as far to the right as I could, but that damn driver's side window it just fell. Just
I had that happen like that too. It's horrible.
What's going on? It was really bad. So that was my job, that was my car.
That's funny. My first job was my buddy Doug, his mom worked at a pharmacy, right? But it wasn't like a pharmacy where you would go into Walgreens or CVS. It was actually a pharmacy that did vitamins and stuff for kids that instead of going with hardcore medication because they've got maybe various behavioral problems and things like that. It was the doctors felt it was a vitamin deficiency. Oh, as I punch my mic. So they thought it was a vitamin deficiency, right? And they've got all this back and whatever. So my buddy Doug and I, we did all kinds of various jobs. We would actually measure out the vitamins and everything. Like they had
you're a pharmacist?
No, the pharmacist was there.
Black market pharmacist.
Yeah, the pharmacist. They had pharmacists there, so they checked over our work. Like we couldn't, we'd have to dump it out if we didn't get the right measurements and all that stuff. We'd actually cap the pills, but because we were, I don't know, 16 years old, summertime, whatever. The woman who owned the place or the manager or whatever is like, you know what? I'm just gonna have whatever needs to be done. We're gonna do it. So him and I were hanging shelves, boys. She just calls us boys, older woman. Hey, boys, I think we need some shelves built. We're like, oh, okay. Go down to Home Depot or whatever. We had no idea what we were doing, right? Buy shelf. We put the shelves up. No idea if those things are still up. Fetch lunch, file paperwork. At one point, I swear she was going to have us on the roof tarring, but that was my first job, and I was not a drug dealer, Gator. Probably would have made more money.
You kind of were.
And my first car was my dad's. It had 150,000 miles on it. It was a Jeep Cherokee, 94 Jeep Cherokee, that box-looking, square-looking thing. My dad got a new vehicle. He's like, all right, son, this is all yours. So that's what I was rolling in.
Ooh, my first job, I worked at Schnucks, and I was a bag boy. Boy in high school. And there's an art of bagging, too. So sometimes when I go and get my groceries and I see that the bag boys or bag girls or whoever's bagging my groceries aren't doing it right, it kind of gets me upset.
Because you're a professional.
Yes, sometimes I'll step in, I'll do it myself. I know exactly where the switch is for the lever. So I'll flip it on. It's like a light switch. It's right under the conveyor belt. And I'll start bagging my own groceries if there's nobody there. So I do it myself. My first car was a 2003 Mitsubishi Eclipse.
Oh, yeah,
that's right. You were telling us about that. Yeah,
those are pretty sweet.
Yeah,
that was a nice car.
My mother had one of those. Silver.
Mine was black.
Okay.
No, you were rolling. You were good.
I was good. Yeah, I had that. You already know I had 5 different of those. What are those? The black. It smells good in your car.
Oh, the trees. The trees.
Yeah. It's a black ice.
New car smell.
Black ice. That's black ice. Yeah, black ice and the black Mitsubishi Eclipse. That was me. So
I love it.
Driving to work and bagging groceries and pushing those damn carts. Pushing the damn carts in the dead of winter. That is the worst thing.
I had to do that adventure. That was the worst thing. Now they got the automated thing where they just push a button and it pushes them in. Pushing those carts in the snow is one of the worst things I've ever done. It's awful.
I believe that.
That's terrible.
All right, we have a new Gauntlet contestant who's actually going to be in-house with us. Ooh. So the Gauntlet is next on 101 ESPN.
answers, 4 categories, 1 challenger. Can you survive the Gauntlet?
Brought to you by Blue Note Roofing. Roofing, siding, and gutters. Call 314-920-5713 now for a free inspection.
All right, it's Fastlane at 101 ESPN 404. Your time check is brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. And we've got a very special guest. It's Dave Novak, Blue Note Roofing, who's with us right now, sponsor of the Gauntlet. And as Jamie noted when Dave came in, Dave is all intimidation right now. He's coming in. He's coming in our house, and he's going to take one of us down here today.
That's right.
So, Dave,
visiting team usually wins this time of year in the NFL.
there's no home field advantage
There's
in,
no home
in
field
this.
advantage.
Yeah. All right, Dave. So you know how the Gauntlet's played here. So
Yes, sir.
who are you taking on today?
I think I'm going to take on you, Anthony.
Oh, I did not see that coming. I thought for sure it was going to be Jamie. All right. Sounds good.
Dave, you'll slide over to Anthony's mic
All righty. Good luck to
as we
you,
kick
Anthony.
Anthony out of here. All right, Dave, this is the part where we tell Marshy to spin the wheel.
Yep, Marshy, spin that wheel.
All right, so you picked Anthony. You know Anthony gets hockey a lot.
I
Is
know.
that the strategy?
Kind of.
Okay. All right. I don't hate it.
I know.
Or, we got random today.
Oh, that was the one I didn't That was the only thing I didn't want.
The wheel knows. The
I
wheel
know.
knows.
I didn't even say anything. I didn't want to jinx it.
Yeah.
All right.
Random is an even playing field for all.
Yes.
involved.
Yeah, I don't know about even.
Okay, so you know this, Dave, but I'll remind our listeners there's 4 questions, each of them worth 2 points. If you use the options and get it correct, it's worth 1 point. If you get it wrong, 0. If we're tied after 4 questions, we'll go to a tiebreaker and we'll get a winner here in the Gauntlet.
Sounds good.
We'll get a winner here in the Blue Note Roofing Gauntlet.
Appreciate that.
All right, buddy. Random is the category. I can put my glasses on, can't see anything.
Yeah, you.
Question 1. Who is the lead singer of the rock band Incubus?
It ain't classic rock, so give me the options.
All right. Is it Brandon Boyd, Perry Farrell, or Tyson Ritter?
What was the second option?
Perry Farrell.
No, I'll take option number 2, Perry Farrell.
Okay.
Question.
Final answer?
Final answer.
Got to make sure.
Yeah.
Question number 2. According to World Atlas, name the heaviest land animal after the elephant.
I'll take the options, Carey.
Is it a giraffe, a hippopotamus, or American bison?
I'm going to take the hippopotamus.
Final answer?
Final answer.
Question number 3. The Whig Party was formed in 1834 by opponents of which president?
1834?
1834.
Feels like yesterday.
I know. I think I know, but give me the options.
Options are Andrew Jackson, Millard Fillmore, or Abraham Lincoln.
I'll take Old Hickory, Andrew Jackson.
Final answer?
Final answer.
All right, Dave, last question. What is the chemical symbol for calcium?
CA.
Final answer?
Final answer.
All right. Get our guy Anthony back in here. How you feeling, Dave?
I hate random.
All right, we'll have you just kind of chill out.
No worries.
Well, Anthony goes back to his microphone. A little traffic jam here.
I'd say pack a lunch, but it might be a snack.
Oh, that was quick. So sometimes.
I like that Dave right now, he's in your personal
Yeah, he's
space.
like right
I
here.
like this.
I'm like,
There we go.
all right, let's see how good I am. All right.
All right, buddy. Random is the category today.
No.
I know. It's
Better pack a lunch. Question number
I
1.
hate random.
Are you ready?
No.
Okay. Let me know
ahead.
when you're ready.
I'm ready.
You're good?
Yep.
Okay. Who is the lead singer of the rock band Incubus?
Options.
Brandon Boyd, Perry Farrell, or Tyson Ritter?
Tyson Ritter. Final answer.
Question number 2. According to World Atlas, name the heaviest land animal after the elephant.
Heaviest after the elephant. I'm thinking rhino, but let's get the options.
Is it a giraffe, a hippopotamus, or American bison?
Good thing I didn't say rhino. Giraffe, hippo, or bison? You would think it'd be the hippo. Do I go with the obvious choice here, Dave, or do I go with...
Dave's not going to help you.
I don't think he is either. I thought about it. I don't think he will.
Giraffes are tall. But man, they're skinny.
Got those nice long legs.
Yeah. Give me the hippo. Final answer.
Question number 3. The Whig Party was formed in 1834 by opponents of which president?
1834?
1834.
Options.
Your options are Andrew Jackson, Millard Fillmore, or Abraham Lincoln.
Andrew Jackson. Final answer.
All right, Antoine. Final question. What is the chemical symbol for calcium?
First two letters that popped into my head was CA. So I'll go with CA. Final answer. Dave, I'm thinking Dave did too.
All right, let's go over it here.
I don't feel good. Yeah, I don't feel good, Dave. Do you?
No, it's gonna be a defensive struggle.
Okay.
I see a 1-0 or a 2-1.
All right, fair enough.
Here we go.
Oh, boy.
Who's the lead singer of the rock band Incubus? Dave took the option, said Perry Farrell. Anthony took the option, said Tyson Ritter. Answer is
Brendan Boyd.
All right, we had it surrounded.
0-0 after one.
Ouch.
According to World Atlas, name the heaviest land animal after the elephant. Dave said hippo.
Okay.
Anthony said hippo with the options.
Yeah.
Answer is
Hip hop anonymous? Damn you! You give him the easy ones. It's hippopotamus.
hippopotamus. But Dave also needed the options.
Okay, all right. Good.
I wasn't jumping for joy.
All right, fair enough.
Question 3. The Whig Party was formed in 1834 by opponents of which president? Dave said Andrew Jackson.
Oh, wow.
Anthony said Andrew Jackson. Answer is
Andrew Jackson.
Yes.
and you both needed the options.
Hey, we got 2 of 3. I feel good already.
Right now.
Final question.
Oh, boy.
What is the chemical symbol for calcium? Dave said Ca. Anthony said Ca. Answer is
C-A.
neither of you needed the options.
Walk it off.
We got to walk off.
Oh, man.
Okay,
all right, so we need 2
Hang on.
pieces of paper.
Give him a piece of paper.
We're going to separate you guys. Dave,
come
I'm
over
going to get you
Yeah.
Yep.
over by Carey.
Oh, man.
Here,
Hey,
take this.
Dave, first of
handing it
all,
to
we
me
did pretty
for it.
good,
He's gonna
man.
stay over there.
All right.
3 out of the 4 we got right.
You guys did good.
And we didn't need the options on the
Here, you
last
can use
one.
mine. All right, so Dave, the rules go like this. I'm going to ask the question. Both of you will hide your answers and write it down at the same time. And then we'll have one of you flip it at a time so that
All right.
Marshy, who's our mathematician over there, has a chance to go through it.
Got it.
So
You
here,
got your shoes off to count toes?
Yes.
I have to do that.
Yeah.
all right, tiebreaker question. The Eiffel Tower in Paris, France is illuminated by how many light bulbs every night? Oh. Deep thinking going on here. Okay, we've got Dave's answer. Oh, no. Oh, no.
He's scratching stuff out over
Shot
there.
clock over here. You can tell that we don't have somebody on the phone. Anthony's taking his time.
He's done
He's
3
writing
different
a book
numbers.
over here. Okay, hang on. Okay, put it down.
Oh, sorry.
Wait, can you show me?
Yeah.
A lot of math. probably.
Okay. Wait. Hold up.
No, I got
One
it.
second.
Let me see, Dave.
Let me see. What is his?
Yeah, no, that's easy. All right.
I can't see his.
Guys, I got
Gotcha.
it.
Yep.
I didn't think it was that harsh.
Yep. Well, I just wanted to make sure.
All right, so again, the question: the Eiffel Tower in Paris, France, is illuminated by how many light bulbs every night? Dave, lean into the mic and tell us what your answer is.
1250.
1,250. Anthony, what did you write down?
10,000.
10,000. Well, we have a winner here in the Gauntlet today. Dave.
You have chosen poorly.
The answer, 20,000.
20,000. I thought I was sailing over after the games.
That should be 100,000.
Yeah.
I was bidding $1. Like,
Dave, buddy, Anthony got you today, man.
That was a good battle, though,
Appreciate you
Dave.
coming in
Nice
here.
job.
Nice job, man. That was fantastic. Hey, 3 out of 4. Didn't use the options on the last one. Nice job.
No, good job.
That was a good battle. So, Dave, keep up the great work. Blue Note Roofing. Dave is our sponsor for the Gauntlet. Wanted to have him in today, Dave Novak. If you have any roofing problems whatsoever, Blue Note Roofing. Dave, to give us some contact information for the people.
My number is 314-920-5713, and we do roofing, siding, gutters, fascia, and soffit.
Beautiful. Awesome. And Jamie Rivers is going to have some.
We discussed it in the hallway.
Dave's going to come over and clean out the gutters at the new house, and we're going to talk about some gutter guards.
There you go. Perfect. All right. So if you have any roofing, siding, or gutter needs, again, Blue Note Roofing, give Dave a call. Tell him you heard him on the Gauntlet today. So, Dave, nice job. We will continue with a Freedom Friday next on 101 ESPN.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Jamie Rivers, Carey Davis, Anthony Stalter. Freedom Friday continues here on 101 ESPN, so continue to send in any topic you want us to discuss today. And Andrew Marsh will kind of parcel through it and then throw out a topic like this.
From the 636, Anthony, since you have dealt with this before, my son's club hockey coach has asked him to switch from forward, he has played wing since he was 5, to defense. He is very unsure of himself and is not excited about switching positions, but in the first 2 games, he has played really well. What do I say to him to convince him to at least give it a shot?
That's a good question, and Jamie, I'm sure you have insight in this too. You know, to me, one, I think the most basic conversation you can have with him is that, hey, whatever your team needs you to do that. But I think if you want to kind of highlight something to him and maybe get him excited about it, you say, hey, your coach sees something in you that nobody, the other kids do not have, and that is why he's got you in that spot. And I'm sure the coach, that's why. There's something that the coach sees. Maybe he's light on defensemen as it is, but he sees something in your son that would lead him to, because the coach is not going to put himself in a bad spot or the team in a bad spot. So I would talk to maybe the coach, figure out, the positives of why there's a position switch here, and then illustrate that to your son. As a parent, if you're excited about something, more likely than not, your kid's going to be fired up about it too. So if you can kind of turn it into a positive, great. If you got a sulky attitude about it, and I'm not saying you do, the kid will have a sulky attitude about it. So that would be my advice. Find out why the coach has your son switching positions, figure out what skill set he wants to highlight, and then relay that to your son. It might get him excited.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. The only, I'll go a little further with it and find out, what level of hockey are they playing? Because if it's on a very competitive level team, travel team, all that, and your coach thinks you can help out playing defense, then certainly you look at it from a standpoint of, hey, let's try to help out the team. Talk to the coach first of all about why he sees your son or daughter as a defenseman rather than a forward, and then from there on, once it's kind of agreed upon that, okay, we're going to give this a shot. You find, your kid. Yeah. You find a few players around the NHL that are defensemen, or you find some players that move from forward to defense that played in the NHL. You say, look at this guy did it, played in the NHL. This guy did it over here and played, had a long career. Brent Burns was all over the place. Yeah. I mean, Sergei Fedorov played forward, then he played defense, then he played forward. Matthew Dandino was drafted as a forward for the Red Wings. They turned him into a defenseman.
Right.
So
you can highlight those
highlight
guys.
The success stories of those guys. But if it's not like a super competitive level, if it is just like rec hockey, I would say to my son or daughter, and say, look, go out, try it out. And if you don't like it, I'll talk to the coach.
Sure.
And then if you continue to go and you don't like it, the kid's just miserable, he's not having success, or she's not having any success, then you go to the coach and say, listen, man, this is rec hockey. My son and my daughter really wants to play forward. They're not enjoying hockey right now.
Right.
Maybe another kid would be better suited to move to defense.
Right.
Because the kids at that level are there to play hockey and have some fun.
Sure.
I don't say they don't have dreams or aspirations of playing at a super high level, but they're not playing on the competitive teams right now.
Right. You
get to a travel team or a AAA hockey team, then your son or your daughter, kind of have to accept what the coach is doing. But I still think there's room to have open dialogue with the coach of, good things, bad things, and then what are some things that I can talk about, post game with my son or my daughter about what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong.
We've all coached too. Yeah. If you're a good coach, you're open to hear those suggestions. You really are. I mean, I try to talk to parents all the time when I'm coaching either the flag football team or the baseball team, and I have great relationships with the parents. They're invested. They want their child to learn the game and also do well. And if there's anything like, hey, listen, he's really hoping to run the ball more. Okay, I get that. He pulls flags better than he runs the ball. I gave it to him. He ran backwards. So right now, if it's a close game, he's probably going to stay on defense. But listen, I hear you. I understand you. We get up. Maybe everybody has a chance to run the ball at some point.
Big Hoss chiming in. My son, he says, don't forget Dustin Byfuglien also played forward.
Oh, there you go.
Won a Stanley Cup as a forward with the Blackhawks, and then they moved him back to play defense. And obviously, he had a pretty darn good career playing defense. So big buff.
I think it's important to, it's important to one, what level they're playing at, but also if I've had that conversation, you think your son can do this? Okay, let's watch practice.
Yeah.
Let me show you why he is not able to play that position better than the people that are in front of him. I tell people all the time, and so when I move a kid to a position that I know is better suited for them, it's because I feel like it's better suited for them. If they're not able to backpedal, you probably are not going to play cornerback. Like, it's nothing against you personally. It's your skill set at this time. It's something you probably need to work on. I tell people all the time, I played defensive line and offensive line until I got to high school. Like, there was no, hey, I want to run the ball. We had 3 really good running backs on my little league team. One of them ended up having like 40 or 50 offers to go to college. Like, when we got to high school, he was really good. So, yeah, I played offensive line. And what that did was it taught me the game in a better way. So now when I became a running back, I knew exactly who was supposed to block who and where they were supposed to be and where I was supposed to be. It helped elevate my game because I was actually in those positions, and now I'm behind and I can see what they're supposed to be doing or what they're about to do. So it can help, and it's not always, a demotion to go play a different position. Sometimes it can actually help your game and allow you to see the game from a different aspect. But again, I think most times, in most instances, the coach is doing what he feels is best for the team.
Yeah.
You might not always agree with it, and you, as a parent, might think that your child is much better than what they are or what you're seeing. And sometimes there are kids that are better than them.
Yeah.
And that's a hard conversation to have with a parent. Like, that's but I always hey, your son is not playing for a couple of reasons. Either he doesn't know what he's doing, or there's somebody better than him. And if he wants to play that position specifically, he's going to have to work harder in the offseason, during training, get better at that specific skill set so that next year or even later on this year, he can prove that he's worthy of having that spot. Everything we do is competition. Yeah. And that's how I break it down to parents. Like, you had to compete for the job you have. You didn't walk into that building and they said, you are hired. No, they brought
venture.
Unless it's venture. And you had on nice clothes.
For it.
No,
I was prepared.
Yeah.
No, he was prepared.
He was prepared.
He was no good at the job, but he was prepared.
He probably should have interviewed me.
Yeah. Son, do you know where the pillows are?
I do not know where anything is. But I'll look nice when I get to work. You can count on that. But yeah, you got to interview for your job. Everybody does. So yeah, it's a competition. Yeah. And that's what you're teaching your child. It's competition. They have to compete and they have to be better. And that's not that's not a detriment to what they're going to be later on, but they have to learn how to work towards being better so that they can get the position that they want.
I agree.
So this actually happened to me when I was playing hockey. I was a forward for the longest time through mini mites, squirt, whatever. And then as I got older, I had to switch to defense because with the rules at the time, Jamie, you probably know a little bit more about this, but you could only it was called one time or something. So I played in the Twin Bridges, but then I wanted to play Chesterfield, but because I didn't live there, I couldn't play on the Central States team unless I one time or something.
You could one-time transfer.
Yeah. But the only way I could really make this team is if I played defense and I wanted to be on this team because it was at the time, to me, it was the best team. And so I switched because that was the best thing for my youth hockey career. Granted, I'm probably not a good example to use for your child because I never made it to the NHL or anything.
Yeah, Marsha, I think you are a good example. You played on a team here in St. Louis with the only team ever to win the Quebec Pee Wee tournament, which is the biggest tournament in the world.
Heck yeah.
And I was a defenseman doing that, but my whole life I was a forward. And so, but I made that commitment to be a defenseman, and it worked out for me. And so, for the listener, for their child, just be encouraging about it, because once I made a good play as a defenseman, something that I wasn't used to doing, I was like, oh, I can do this. And you start to build more and more confidence. And then obviously you learn in practice, you learn through the game. And so you end up becoming more confident in that role. And I think he'll end up really enjoying defense. Plus he doesn't have the back check.
It's true. I tell this story. I think I've told you this before, Anthony, is when I was young, I played center. Yeah. Because I wanted to score a bunch of goals.
Mm-hmm. Who doesn't?
Yeah, and so my second year of playing, scored a whole bunch of goals. And then going to my third year of playing hockey, my dad says, hey, son, you're going to be a defenseman this year. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, you can play defense. I go, Dad,
kiss my fast lane.
I go, Dad, I want to score goals. He goes, who says you can't score goals? I go, well, Dad, I'm playing defense. He goes, you ever hear a guy named Bobby Orr?
No, sir, I haven't.
This is back then. I knew it. He's like, He goes and scores goals. He goes, just take the puck and go score goals. I go, well, why do we only play defense? Because he goes, listen, son, there's 3 forward lines. That means you get on the ice once every 3 times. There's only 4 defensemen. You get on the ice every second shift. You're right there. You're going to play way more than every other kid on the ice. And you're going to develop quicker, and you'll be better at, whatever. And,
Smart.
And go play hockey. He goes, if you have the puck, the other team can't score. So he says, just go with it. So I was just that kid that I didn't really know how to play defense. I just take the puck off a kid's stick and just skate through everybody and score. My dad's like, see? You're allowed to score. There's no rule against it.
Really, just tell them that. Just it all goes back to this question. Like, just tell your son that. Their daughter that.
Take it in. So another thing. So my sophomore year in high school, we had 2 guys that went Division I at running back. So I was going to be on the varsity team, but they were going to put me at linebacker, and I wanted to play running back. I'm like, I want, coach, am I going to get to run the ball? And the coach looked at me. He said, "Did Cortland and Jameson, did they transfer?" I said, "No, coach, they're standing
right there, coach."
He said, "Well, hell no, you're not running the ball. They're running the ball. What do you want?" And so you're going to play linebacker. I'm like, I'm mad, upset. And so a couple of times I sacked the quarterback on defense, ripped the ball out of his hands, and scored a touchdown. And they were like, "See, you got to run the ball. Are you happy now?" Like, that's not what I did.
That's awesome.
This is harder this way. That's hilarious.
One final text from 618. There is no shame in being moved to second base.
No.
No,
Not
there's
at all.
not. No, there's
Why
not.
would you be? You shouldn't be frustrated.
Yeah.
We got a response from the person who sent that text and says, finishing it up, says, all things I told him. Luckily, he was in the car to hear this. Thanks, guys.
Oh, good.
That's
Excellent.
awesome.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Hey, go get him. Whatever your coach wants you to play, man, do it to the best of your abilities. Go dominate.
And you can always go to Synergy Hockey Defense Camp in summertime.
And if you're a
Camp's still
defenseman
open.
now, you're still going to need to clear the puck from time to time.
so.
Clear at camp.
Yeah,
we're working on it.
We'll get you involved.
SynergyHockeySkills.com.
There you go. All right, it's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. We'll do our Sports Six back next, which is basically just a continuation of our Freedom Friday here on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals are back in action tonight, taking on the San Francisco Giants. Miles Michaelis on the mound for the Redbirds. First pitch is at 9:15. We'll talk with Katie Woo at 5:30. Katie Woo from The Athletic. She put out a piece today, and we talked about it earlier in the show. If you missed that or if you missed anything from today's show, make sure you go to 101ESPN.com or check out the free 101 mobile app. Just head to the podcast page. You'll find all of our interviews and full shows there. And it's all brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. It is a Freedom Friday. We have our Sports Six-Pack coming up next, so just keep on sending in those questions to the Air Comfort Service text line 314-399-9646. We'll do our Sports Six-Pack next. I'm Andrew Marsh, and this Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
It's time for the Fast Lane to answer your sports questions.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and I want to have them answered immediately.
Asking me all these weird questions. Answer the question.
Answer the question.
Answer me!
The Sports Six-Pack is brought to you by Paramount Men's Medical Center. Suffering from ED or PE? Your first treatment is free at ParamountMen'sMedical.com.
Time for our Sports Six-Pack here in the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Carey Davis, Jamie Rivers, Anthony Stalter. Here's Andrew Marsh with your Sports Six-Pack questions.
Question number one.
All right, guys, we just had a segment surrounding the just advice for the youth out there. And we get a question from the 618. What is the funniest moment you've had as a coach or shared with a coach? Is it a kid doing something stupid? Like, what is that for you guys?
Oh, wow. Well, I got a couple of funny moments, obviously. When I was coaching pro hockey, obviously you guys all heard the story of me signing a player at a gas station.
Yeah.
So that was kind of funny.
I like that.
But we also, we had an equipment manager. His name is Mark Roof. He was our assistant equipment manager when I played for the Blues, and when I got the job with the St. Charles Chill, he gave me a call and said, "Hey man, I'd really like to be your equipment manager." And obviously I'd known him for years. Unbelievable guy, funny, good worker, like all that stuff. So yeah, come on in. So now Roofer used to, when we had Grant Fuhr the one year where Fuhrs, he started every game except one that year, which is unbelievable, like 77 starts or something like that. Roofer would be the practice goalie. So Grant Fuhr wouldn't go out for practice ever. And Roofer would just go out there and practice, be the other goalie. So I had known that Roofer played goalie for a little bit, you know. We had some flu that hit the team, and we were missing players, whatever, and we only had one goalie for the game. And I said to Roofer, I go, "Hey, bring your gear to the rink, because I can't get a goalie here. I can't sign a kid that's local. There was nothing available for me." So I said, "Bring your gear, Roofer. You're going to be the backup goalie tonight." So he's kind of giggling about it. He's like, "Yeah." So he puts on his gear, and he's walking around like half his goalie gear, sharpening skates and doing things like that. And then we score a goal in the last 2 minutes, go up by 2 goals. And I go, "Roofer, you're in." "Oh yeah." He goes, No. I go, "You're in." He goes, no. I called the Linus, was our goalie. "Linus, you're out." He's like, "Okay," because he knew it was up.
It's Roofer's time.
So Roofer's sitting there, and Roofer's only like 5'7", little guy, little portly guy. And he gets out there in like 1980s like goalie gear or early 90s. It was awesome. And like the very first play, the other team won the faceoff, came up, and they came across the blue line, took a slap shot. You know?
Wow.
And Roofer was like all the way out to like the hash marks, trying to take out the angle for it, you know. Yeah. So he made a save and whatnot. But the reason I did it was because at that time it made him the oldest player to play professional hockey.
Wow, that's awesome.
So he got a game played in the Central Hockey League as the oldest player to ever play.
That's neat. That's really cool.
So that was that's not a funny story, but it's kind of...
it is. Cool. But it's a story that he'll remember.
Yeah, I've had kids do all types of things that you just look at them crazy. Yeah. Anthony's laughing.
I'm just thinking one lately with you.
Yeah, man.
Certain position that
young man thought he was on punt team. He was at corner. And he took off like it was punt team, and I just ran right past the running back. I said, "Oh, where are you going? What is happening here?"
Yeah,
it was pretty interesting. But no, I mean, kids are, you. I think the best part, the funniest part is like you teach them something, you show them something, and for the life of them, they don't get it. And then it finally clicks.
Yeah. And
then you kind of see the smile on their faces, and they're like, oh,
right.
That's what you were saying. Hey, I've only been saying it for 4 weeks. But to each his own, take your time.
Yeah.
you got it now, thankfully.
Yep.
Hopefully you won't forget it. But no, it's for me, coaching is fun, man. It's amazing to see kids progress.
Mm-hmm.
But, you got to be hard on them. You got to be tough on them. You got to love on them. You got to show them, the right way to do the things. But it's exciting for me just watching them grow in the game.
Yeah, that is really cool. When something clicks for them, it's awesome.
Yep.
So I got one. So as everybody knows, I brag about the flag football team that we had in the spring. We did very well. We went 8-0. So we're playing one of these teams that actually was coached by. It was actually so we have a bunch of different schools in our district. My team is filled with all the kids in the district, right? Like it just worked out that way. I coached in the fall. A lot of those kids return. But the other teams that we're playing are like the kids' schools. Well, we played Killian's school, so we knew a lot of these kids on the other side, right? And I just happen to know the coaches just a little bit. But we're getting toward the end of toward halftime, and we got a little guy named William who is like a full year younger than everybody. So in the spring, he would have been in pre-K. And the division was kindergartners. So he's playing up constantly, right? But I've gotten to know the parents really well. The parents are awesome. I'm like, I got to get William, who's our center. Just, hey, buddy, we're going to teach you how to center. I got to get William a pass. Like, he's got to catch the ball. He can run, right? Because every time I try to give him the ball from a running back standpoint, like he just kind of stopped. He wouldn't do anything. So I'm like, okay, we're going to throw him a pass, and he's going to be wide open because nobody's expecting this. Well, we got another kid on our team, Bobby, who's like ultra aggressive, like great athlete, going a million miles an hour constantly, perfect linebacker, and sometimes we'll have him like run the ball. So I'm in the huddle with these kids, and Carey, like you're telling them, Jamie, you probably know this too with hockey. You telling them it's Williams' play. It's
Yes.
Williams' play. It's
Yeah.
Williams' play.
I always get the puck to William.
Get the puck to William, right. Get the ball to William. So we set up the play. We've been working on it. Williams going to get this pass. So sure enough, he snaps the ball. Williams in the perfect spot, right? A quarterback. It's not a long throw, so make sure William catches it. Mm-hmm. I'm throwing the ball, and we're up like a couple of touchdowns too. But I'm just trying to throw it to the one pre-K. So our quarterback throws it. Bobby steps right in front of William, snags that thing one-handed, takes it to the house. I'm like, no. So not only, and I told William's parents like before, I'm like, hey, like this is it.
Here we go.
This is the moment.
Bobby said, nah.
Bobby's like, this is my moment. And Bobby, Bobby's a great kid. Snagged that ball, went to the house. So not only do I have to apologize to, and William's parents got him like, hey, that was for William, whatever. I went to the other coach too, like, I'm not trying to run it up, man. I was trying to get a play in for the little guy, and he was cool about it. He's like, no big deal. But yeah, we went from like up 2 to up 3 touchdowns or something at halftime. Like, I'm
Did
sorry.
he end up getting the ball?
I think I just gave him like a running play at some point in the second half, and but the whole thing was designed so he would be wide open, and Bobby was the only guy covering him.
I've got an ineligible receiver downfield.
It was great. So just one of those moments, especially for little guys. All right, you want to continue?
Yeah. Next.
101 ESPN.
It's time for the Fast Lane to answer your sports questions.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and I want to have them answered immediately.
Asking me all these weird questions.
Answer the question.
Answer the question.
Answer me!
The Sports Six Pack is brought to you by Paramount Men's Medical Center. Suffering from ED or PE? Your first treatment is free at ParamountMen'sMedical.com.
It's a Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Somebody texted in. That's why Bobby was even on the field. It's a good question. It's bad coaching. Oh, man.
Going back to that conversation, we did get a text from the 618. Best story ever. I was umpiring Little League Baseball. Kid out in right field has his legs crossed, and a grandparent from the stand yells, "Robbie, did you pee your pants again?" I bet he did.
You sports is amazing.
It really is. It is.
It's awesome.
And you can't be mad. Kids have no clue.
No, they don't.
I was umpiring like 5-year-old, 6-year-old baseball and softball. The kids would get a hit and they would run straight to second base.
Oh, yeah.
Like just take off. Like
or third.
You're third. You're like, no.
I remember coaching in a tournament. We're in the final, and this was the first year I'm coaching Ashton and Braden. Great group of kids, and we're in the final. And it's like tie game, and things are happening. This one kid just turns around to me and goes, "Hey, I was watching Transformers," and just like asked me a question about Transformers. And I'm like, what? I'm like, what? I'm like, be quiet. I'm like, we're trying to interact in here. He's like, oh. And he like turns around like nothing. Like, it's completely unfazed.
I'll ask you later, coach.
It was unbelievable.
Oh, man.
I like answered him truthfully. I was like, I don't know that character. Like, what am I doing? Wait.
I don't know. We'll just have to wait to see what the character arc is in season 3. It's hilarious, man.
Question number 2.
All right, from the 314.
Yeah.
Is Bama, Georgia the biggest game of the regular season?
So far, I mean, so far, yeah. I don't think we can say
Texas,
that.
Michigan didn't turn out to be. I don't think that there's
Tennessee got anybody big?
Not yet. I think it's the biggest game because it's the first top 5. 2 teams in the top 5.
That's
going
crazy.
against each other.
That's going to be huge.
Texas and Michigan wasn't.
Michigan was 10 or 8.
Oh, really?
At that point,
in that
I
week
believe.
too.
I think so.
Oh yeah, you're right. 3 and 10. Yeah,
so
you're right.
Tennessee plays Bama October 19th.
That's gonna be a good one.
That's a tough schedule for Bama.
No, yeah, it is. I got one for you. How about Texas and Georgia?
When did they play?
When did they play? October 19th.
Tennessee plays Georgia on November 16th.
Do they?
Tennessee has a no-joke schedule. They played NC State, ranked, Oklahoma, ranked, Bama, ranked, Georgia, ranked,
Michigan
in
the Big House.
No, this is Tennessee.
Oh, my bad.
Meanwhile, Mizzou's playing UMass Amherst.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, and not in hockey either.
That's a
hockey
challenge.
School.
It is a hockey school.
It's a challenge.
UMass.
Yeah.
That's the Minutemen.
That is the Minutemen.
Yeah. Marcus Camby.
Cale McCarr.
Yeah.
Matthew Kessel.
Rick Majerus.
Yeah. Rick Majerus.
Yeah, Rick Majerus. All right.
Question number 3.
So, no, I think is the prevailing answer on it.
From the 636, do you guys think Dylan Holloway will have a bigger impact for the Blues this season or Michael McGreevy for the Cardinals next year in the rotation?
Well, that's a good question. That's a fun question.
Wow. Okay.
I'll say Michael McGreevy in the rotation with the candlestick next year.
Yeah, I will agree. And the only reason I'll agree with that is because the pitching position is the most important position on the field. Like it's an individual thing. So like for Dylan Holloway, he plays a team sport. So it's not like he's the only guy out there playing left wing or center.
Yes.
So I think that McGreevy will have a bigger impact just because there's always a bigger impact on that position.
Yeah.
I agree.
Question number 4.
Mike McGreevy, you all say aye.
Aye. From the 386, outside of Jamie, because y'all know what his worst injury was, what is your worst injury you've ever had playing sports or otherwise?
I tell people this often. I mean, I had shoulder surgeries on both shoulders. I've had hip surgery. I've had knees. The worst injury I've ever had, man, is 2 of them, and they don't get talked about enough. Turf toe is one of them. It was almost debilitating. You don't know how much you need your big toe until you can't walk on it. Like, you walk on the side of your foot, and now everything else hurts. You cannot put pressure on it. The other, a bruised tailbone. Oh. I got hit with a helmet on the backside. Don't think I had a butt pad in, and it is brutal. It just, don't sit down, don't walk, don't breathe, don't laugh, don't talk, don't think. Just don't do anything. Those to me were the 2 worst pains that I've ever dealt with.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
Awful.
Mine was summer ball, high school, and everybody's kind of got to take turns to pitch batting practice, right? So I was up there, did my thing, right? So I'm pitching batting practice. Dude smoked one. Caught me right in the face. Caught me right in the face. Broken nose. I was telling you guys.
Is that the eyes watering?
It hit the tear duct, blood everywhere. I didn't drop. That's about the only thing I could say. But that thing, I mean, anything to the nose. Yeah. It's a big target, Jamie, I know. But I had my driver's license taken the next day. First driver's license.
Raccoon eyes?
Yep. I had the dark. Yep, I had both going. So that hurt like a some.
I bit a hole in my lip playing basketball.
Oh!
Like, I bit a chunk out in a high school basketball game. I had to go get stitches after the game, but it was like I could feel the piece missing. And I just kept playing.
Yeah.
Like, I put some gauze in it. The gauze would fall out. I could feel the empty space. It's a chunk missing. I got stitches in my lip.
So I have a scar. I have a scar here, and you guys see my teeth. Like, I've got the fangs, right? So I got in a fight in junior hockey, and a guy punched me, and my tooth went through my face, and it was like, I had to pull my face back out so the tooth would go back the other way.
Yeah, I had in football, and I was in Pittsburgh. I had to get stitches right here. My mustache covers it up.
So bad though.
But I had, it was split open from I think my face mask hitting my face, and my just split open right here. Had to get stitches, and there's no numbing medication. You just got to sit there and take it.
Yeah,
stitch it up.
The other one that was painful for me. I took a slap shot in the face. That didn't feel very good.
I'm not doing that.
Right in the chin too. But it didn't hurt as much as I thought it would. But the other one was, and I've told you this story, one of my very first games in the minors ever. I fight this guy named Sean McCosh, and we're going, and I throw an uppercut, and I, boom, put him down, like everything's great. I get to the penalty box, and I'm like trying to ice my hand up. His tooth is in my hand. Stuck in my knuckle. Like, there's still the scars right there. And so now I'm like looking at my hand, the whistle goes, and their trainer comes running across the ice. And he's like, they want me to open the door. I was like, open the door. He comes in and takes a little tweezers and a little saber-tooth kit that they had, And I didn't think nothing of it. I kind of spray some water on it, whatnot. And I go up and finish the game. Mm-hmm. I woke up in the morning. My hand was it was the size of like a volleyball. I was like, what is going on? And the pain was excruciating. Yeah. And they had to drain it. So the injury itself wasn't as painful as when they drained it. They stuck a tube in there. I was like, oh my God. Damn. That didn't feel good.
I also had staph infection in my knee, which I didn't realize. I didn't even know what staph infection was. I thought it was STAFF, like staph. Who
like a coaching staff.
Yeah, coaching staff. They're like, nah, you got a staph infection. You could die, or your leg could get cut off. And so I'm sitting in the hospital, and I'll never forget. To this day, I don't know if it was the drugs that they gave me to knock me out so they could do the procedure, or if it was just watching them. They took a needle that was probably about 8 inches long, stuck it in my knee, and started draining orange, yellow fluid out of my knee. And I looked at it, and I was like, and I passed out. I woke up, had surgery, and I was on the drip, the morphine drip. Yeah. And I needed that every 10 minutes.
Clicking that like you're playing Jeopardy.
Man, waiting for it to beep. Please.
I told you that about when I had my surgery, my spleen and all that stuff. The medicine's a little behind over there. I'm sure they're caught up now, but
maybe.
Well, I had this guy. His name was Mario. He was my personal attendant, whatever, while I was in intensive care, and he would come in, and I'd be in pain, and I learned the word was bolam for pain. It's like, bolam. He's like, okay. And so they don't do it through the IV drip. They just take a needle and roll you over and right in the backside, right?
Oh, man.
So, but I listen, I don't care. He stabbed me 12 times. I don't care because I felt really good after he did it.
so much better. Yeah.
So he comes in and shoot me up, whatever, and it's supposed to be for like 4 to 6 hours or something like that. But an hour and a half in, I'm feeling like crap again. Starting to sweat, and I'm like pain. So I buzz Mario to come back in, and I'm like, bolam. And he's like points to his watch. I go, I don't fast lane care.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's go. So he goes, he comes back and he takes the needle and he goes, I know right. Because you're supposed to write it down.
Yeah.
He goes, I know write this. I'm like, thank you.
Thank you, Mario.
Don't worry
I wanted to
about
hug him. Like, I'm like, here, go ahead, go.
Meanwhile, you didn't know that Mario was actually like a janitor just walking by. Didn't care. It didn't matter.
I didn't care at all.
He knew where to put the needle. You were good to go.
I didn't care. I said, give it to me. I'll do it to myself.
Like Jamie wins them all. Hugh Gisoli did bring up how I ran my face into my parents' pool.
You did do that.
Yeah, that did hurt too.
But that wasn't playing sport. Well, I guess swimming. It's athletics.
So I was a junior when we were a junior in high school. I played safety, and in the '90s, and everybody just ran option. That's it, just option. And strong safety said to fill the lane. I mean, you just tackle all.
Pitch man.
No
question.
We played. We were all juniors, and we played up because it was our first year in the high school. So the other team was filled with seniors. And this other team had a running back that was just a monster. He went to stiff arm me, and he got his finger caught in my face mask. And like I'm like this, trying to bring him down. He trucked me. I got up, blood everywhere, fingernails sticking out. Like I got a small scar on the bridge of my nose because I'm like, this is not fun at all. All right, we'll continue with Freedom Friday at a 5 o'clock hour next on 101 ESPN. 505, your time check is brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Carey Davis, Jamie Rivers, I'm Anthony Stalter. Andrew Marsh working double time on a Freedom Friday. Not only did he host the morning after today, but he's also doing Freedom Friday, and Marsh has got a lot on his plate on a Freedom Friday.
And we have Maryville women's hockey tonight.
Oh, so you're calling tonight's game as well?
I'll be color commentating tonight for the women's game.
How'd the men do last night?
They won 3-0 against Midland.
How'd my boy James Ramirez play?
He did very well. He scored a goal last night, a little redirect out front for the third goal of the game. So he's his second goal of the season for the freshman. So
he's a great kid.
But triple duty today.
Triple duty, baby.
You're gonna sleep
That's
well
a lot of
tonight.
duty.
Oh, I'm gonna sleep very well.
Marshy. Nice job, man. Nice job.
Thank you. Ready for more Freedom Friday?
Yeah, of course. Indeed.
Okay.
Yes. Right in the face.
From the 314, do you guys believe that St. Louis is on pace to become Oakland with sports franchises?
What? No.
What? They've lost every sport.
Las Vegas is way out there. I mean, we're not really close to.
I don't think that's what he meant by that.
No, Vegas was taking all of the Oakland teams.
I don't think he meant that. I think he meant in terms of losing teams, like teams leaving here and going to another city.
So
kind of like what
Vegas is a long.
So is Los Angeles, Anthony.
They're actually further. They're not going anywhere. The Blues and the Cardinals aren't going anywhere.
Nowhere.
No, the City SC's not going anywhere.
No, they're City SC.
Did you know the relocation fees that the Cardinals would have to pay? Nah, they're not going to pay that.
They're not.
That's the only thing keeping them here.
I have to pay what? No, we'll stay.
Yeah, I can spend that on a player or two, huh?
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
So along that same lines from the 314, hey boys, great show. Do you think Greg Amsinger is right to blame Oakland fans?
Oh, yeah. Greg was hot again today. Yeah.
Hold on. Did he actually blame Oakland fans?
Yeah, because he said, look what you did. You know, you weren't happy with the product, so you stopped going, and the owner had the perfect excuse. Well, look, they don't even want the baseball team here. I'm paraphrasing. I know there's audio somewhere of it, and Marshy, maybe you have it.
I'm going to try and find it real quick.
But yeah, Greg basically blamed the A's fans for losing the team.
I think you should blame people for not showing up to a product that you put on the field. Like,
so one thing you can do is not go to the game to show your sport. But then the owner twisted it and said, well, look, they don't even like the base. They don't show up.
No, they don't like that baseball. They don't like losing. They don't like watching people lose games. And that would be like the White Sox owner saying, you know what, you guys aren't showing up to the game, so we're not. You've won 35 games this year. Who the hell wants to see that?
Anthony, your thoughts?
Is Greg feeling okay? Like lately, is something going on? What the hell is he talking about? I would love to ask Greg Amsinger, hey, the last time you went into a restaurant and it was horrible service and horrible food, if you don't go back, I'm going to blame your ass.
Yeah. If they close, it's your fault.
Closed down. That's your fault. You didn't go in.
Yeah. The food was terrible, Anthony.
You didn't eat the terrible food or appreciate their terrible service. They treated you like crap, but you didn't go back and get them, and now look at them.
It's your fault.
It's your fault.
They're closed down.
What are we doing here?
Apparently our guy BK said that Greg was just spewing rhetoric because he's a company man at MLB Network.
I don't think that's the case.
You guys want to hear a little snippet of it?
Please.
All right, here we go. Greg Amsinger on the opening drive.
It's okay to say you support the team, and it was an amazing thing to watch, to have them pack the Coliseum one last time. And I understand it is a painful day as a St. Louis, and we all know how awful that is when you get kicked to the curb, when a team breaks up with you. That is a very difficult thing. But you kind of fall into the master plan. If an owner's dream is to relocate and take the organization somewhere else, and to Mr. Fisher's, his side of this, he did attempt to get a new ballpark. He had met with city officials many times. It never came to fruition. But if the writing's on the wall and he's not spending money on the big league product and they're not competitive for a few years, because they were competitive, but they weren't exactly spending any money on the roster, to not attend games, to not go, because you're going to put your flag in the ground and go, we're making a statement as fans. We're going to make you're actually falling into the plan. You're not fighting back. If you want to hold on to your organization, if you really love your team, you got to go to the games. You've got to attend a big league sporting event.
Carey, you have your hand up.
Go ahead, Carey.
Okay. So I have to spend my hard-earned money, take my family, kids, you got a wife, you take her, you're going to spend approximately $250 on the low end if you got a family of 4 or 5. And I'm supposed to take them to be entertained by a team that is not entertaining. And I'm supposed to spend my money to watch them because it's the right thing to do. Because if I don't spend my $250 between parking and hot dogs and bratwurst and tickets, they're going to leave. But they aren't fun to watch. But I should still go. Is that correct?
That's kind of what he's saying, yep.
So I should spend my money on things that don't excite me? Does that...
What is he talking about?
I don't know.
What planet is he on right now?
I'm not sure.
I mean, is he serious?
It's almost like he's trolling.
It's almost like he's trolling. I will give it to, if he's trolling us, I will golf clap him. Because this is the most asinine thing I've ever heard. Pay for something
that you don't like.
Support something that you don't like.
Keep showing up to a product that stinks.
And the owner still might go.
Who in the hell would do that?
What are you talking about, dude?
It's the most backwards thinking ever.
Is he that far gone?
I don't know.
Someone in the Snake Pit said, I wonder if the real Greg is like tied up someplace. Yeah. I'm starting to get concerned too. Like AI has replaced Greg Amsinger.
He certainly has had a lot of bad takes here recently.
Holy smokes! You're blaming the fans? Really?
Yeah. He's literally pinning it on the fans for not showing up. And we know what the Oakland A's owner has done. We know what he did.
Yes.
Anybody that's any good at all, he has gotten rid of. Because he wants the team to stink, so he doesn't have to spend any money. And he did try
to move.
But he did try to get funding for a stadium. I don't know how hard he tried to do it. I don't know what was involved in that. I'm not going to pretend to know the logistics of it.
I don't think the city of Oakland is not at fault here, at least a little bit.
Yeah, there's probably ownership a little bit on both sides of it. But to insinuate that the fans continue to show up to watch crap.
Right.
And
it's a proud
have a
fan
stadium
base.
that's fallen apart, an owner that doesn't care. Like, if the owner cared, he'd have a good team. Because you can put a good team on the field. You don't have to be the lowest payroll every year with players that nobody recognizes.
Yeah.
There was a possum in their stadium.
There's feces everywhere in that stadium, apparently. Feces like all over the visiting locker room, coming up through the sewers.
Who's paying for the stadium in Vegas?
I don't know.
Is Las Vegas kicking in some
I don't know.
funds for that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, how about he's moving the team to Sacramento for 3 years?
Right.
To a minor league stadium.
Apparently he has to do that because Rob Manfred gave him an ultimatum to either move the team or stay or redo a deal in Oakland. I guess that's part of it. But
so then Rob Manfred's just as stupid.
I don't.
Yeah.
Anthony, there's more from Greg if you'd like to.
Yes.
Listen.
Stay hot,
please.
Greg.
Let's get into that next here on a Freedom Friday here on 101 ESPN. In about 10 minutes, we're going to talk to Katie Wu, who, of course, wrote the piece for The Athletic detailing some of the issues, the big-time issues that the Cardinals have within their organization right now, including the lack of player development and minor league staff. So we'll hear from Katie in about 10 minutes. But, Marsh, you said that there was more audio from Greg Amsinger.
Yes.
Who has
Your buddy.
decided within the last, month or so, to blame the fans for the franchises treating said fans either like crap or delivering them a crap sandwich. Here's more of Greg on the opening drive.
I'm getting pushback on this every time I bring it up. I was on the Brett Boone podcast yesterday, and he was asking me about it. And I go, look, there's a responsibility for an organization's success that's on the hands of the fans. If you don't go, opposing players notice how lame it is to go into your venue and play a Major League Baseball game. Those opposing players are eventually free agents. And if you're wondering why you can't land any free agents, and I get it in the case of the Oakland A's, they're not spending any money. I'm just saying, for other fans out there that were paying attention to what happened in Oakland, going to the games changes everything about the culture of your organization. It impacts things that you're not even aware of. And in the case of Oakland, it kind of fell into the hand of ownership who wanted to relocate. You've got to support your team more than just the last day that they're in your venue. You've got to go to games.
The whole thing about the opposing players going in there and not wanting to sign with you is one of the weakest takes I have ever heard.
It's crap. I can tell you that because I've been a free agent.
And you almost signed with the Arizona Coyotes.
Seriously.
Why? Because they were going to pay you more money.
Pay me more money.
So what are you talking about? How many fans did they have when you were considering signing them? Did you ever think of the fans?
No, actually.
Did you think about your own paycheck?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I did.
That's one of the weakest arguments I've ever heard.
And what I don't like about that is he doesn't say it, doesn't come out and say it, but he's alluding to like warning the Cardinals fans. Because he's like, the A's was a little different because you don't want to spend money, but you got to be careful. You got to show up to it. Like, he's kind of talking to Cardinals fans on that one, but showing up and like supporting your team and like that will help with free agents. And he's kind of regurgitating like when BD3 said, hey, if they don't show up, we can't spend money, Right. Greg is like up his backside now repeating that stuff.
Okay. I understand the concept of, hey, we can't really spend more money if you guys don't buy more. I get that. But does everybody else realize that I'm not going to buy your horse bleep product, therefore you can't have my money? So we've got a little chicken or the egg thing right now. Mm-hmm. But I'm not walking into a store and buying some sort of substandard product just because, I don't know, it's my store. I like the store. Like, what are we doing? Is he drunk?
I don't know. It's so out of touch. Like, I just feel like Greg's out of touch with reality on this. Like, when's the last time Greg had to work a 40-hour week for, whatever, not even say minimum wage, and bring his family, scrape pennies together to bring the kids to the ballpark, and then show up and be completely disappointed and embarrassed with the product that's on the field? Right. He hasn't had to do that in forever. So I think he's out of touch with how things work a little bit.
Sometimes people do get out of touch. I think we heard that with with Bill DeWitt III's comment. That was a little bit out of touch. I think Mosaic at times has been out of touch with the the fans and kind of that thought process of spending X amount of dollars to be entertained for something that you enjoy when that money could be used for necessities.
Right.
And you're trying to have an enjoyment, a moment where you and your family are enjoying something, but it's not as enjoyable because the effort or the team that you're going to watch isn't putting forth the effort that is needed for it to be an enjoying process for you and your family.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the fans' fault. I will never.
It's not.
You can't blame people for not showing up to something that's not good.
Right.
if a movie director makes a bad movie,
right?
Who in the hell is going to go, well, they didn't succeed because you didn't show up in the movies?
Carey, you like the director, so you watch that movie again.
Nah, I won't. Once I mean, if it has bad ratings, I'll wait till it comes out on DVD or online where I can watch it and say, hey, you know what, I'll turn this off. I don't want to spend X amount of dollars at the movie. Yeah. Like, you don't spend money on things that you don't enjoy. You shouldn't.
If you win, the fans show up. If you lose, they don't.
We get a good text from Thanks Dad. Says, a little pride in your product might take some money even if you're not making money. So basically alluding to the team, like if you really care about yeah, okay, maybe you're not making as much, because the simple thought of the Cardinals that they're not making money is absolutely asinine. They are. It's how much are they making?
They're not making as much as they would like.
That's right, but they're still making
money. They are like they're not in the red.
Like the A's, I don't think that guy was making any money. I think he was. I mean, there was revenue sharing so that he doesn't lose money.
Right.
But the Cardinals are making money, so if you might have to spend a little bit more in certain areas, not just your new development staff and all that, like to put a good product out there and keep the fans super motivated to be at your building.
Yeah, Jamie, Synergy Hockey.
Yeah.
Kids stop showing up. You want to blame the kids? You want to blame the parents? Or are you going to look at yourself and say, okay, what am I doing wrong as a company?
I'm doing an internal audit immediately. We're having a meeting. We're going to talk about programming, why this is failing.
Seems pretty simple.
Even when we have a good year.
Yeah.
Like we just finished about 3 weeks ago. We had an internal audit of how the summer went, what worked, what didn't work, what we changed, all this stuff, because you're constantly trying to put the best product out there.
Yeah, agreed. All right, we'll move on. It's the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Doesn't the owner make more if we make the Fast Lane playoffs? Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Everybody does. Absolutely. You'd think they'd be motivated by something like that. All right. Katie Wu of The Athletic put together the What is Wrong with the Cardinals, How to Fix It article that we discussed earlier in the show. She will join us next. We'll dive deeper with her next on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals take on the San Francisco Giants tonight. Miles Michaelis on the mound. First pitch is at 9:15. We are going to be joined by Katie Woo of The Athletic coming up next, so stay tuned for that. You hear her every week on BK and Ferrario, but today she's joining the Fast Lane. So Katie Woo coming up next right here in the Fast Lane. This Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Katie Woo does a phenomenal job at The Athletic. She covers the Cardinals, and she wrote an article for The Athletic that was an in-depth dive into the current failures of the Cardinals. In fact, the name of the article is "The St. Louis Cardinals Have Lost Their Way. Now they must fix their failure." And Katie joins us right now via the 101 ESPN Celebrity Line with Carey Davis and Jamie Rivers. I'm Anthony Stalter. Katie, thank you so much for joining our program. We know that you often go on BK and Ferrario, but we appreciate you, carving out some time for us here in the Fast Lane.
No, of course. Thanks so much for asking me.
So first and foremost, phenomenal job on the feature for The Athletic. I found it, illuminating. It was outstanding. One of the biggest takeaways I had was that thankfully Jordan Walker didn't have success, because I feel as though that him being a top prospect, even though the problems were there for the last couple of years, like you said, it feels like Jordan Walker's failures kind of really highlighted things that got things jump-started. Is that fair?
I think it's definitely the most obvious example, and that just comes, it's less of Jordan, who I think we can all agree has really worked hard despite not being set up for success at the major league level. It's more of the upside. I mean, when he was drafted in 2020, he had some of the highest upside in Cardinals draft history, and he wasn't just a top prospect for St. Louis. He was a top prospect in baseball, regardless of whatever publication you follow. He was in the top 10, top 20 in each year of his development. So he's the most glaring. But, I mean, there are plenty of examples that we could go through, and I think the piece did as well. You look at Herrera, his struggles, Matthew Liberatore. I mean, credit to him. He's figured it out, but it took many years. Nolan Gorman's in AAA. Zach Thompson's in AAA. Go down the list, and it just seems to be an overarching problem that the Cardinals, for a very, very long time, could look the other way at because they had success at the major league level. And ultimately, that's how you're evaluated, is if your major league team is succeeding. But when that was no longer the case, it became very glaring that the minor leagues were also a problem, and now they're going to address it.
Katie, how are the Cardinals able to even have the success that they've had, define success however you want, in the last, 5-6 years, whatnot, when they don't even have some of the coaching staff in place to help young outfielders, young infielders, no catching consultant? Like, how are they even able to compete?
Yeah, I think that was a testament to the Major League Club and the players at the time. I mean, when those players were coming up in 2018, 2019, you're thinking of like Tommy Edman, you're thinking Jack Flaherty, you go down the list. Those were guys that were still supplemented with, even though the Cardinals did have, in the grand scheme of things, still a small player development staff, they still had the amount of resources there that have unfortunately been trimmed and cut over the years to where they're no longer there. And you think about some of the coaches in the minor leagues at that time. You're thinking of Pop Warner. You're thinking of Mike Schultz, Stubby Clapp, Ollie Marmol, all of these guys that came up through the Cardinals and helped really drive in how important player development is. Well, they were also at the major league level, so there was no one, when Schultz at this point is no longer here. There was no one really here for the next 3 or 4 years in the minor leagues to instill that next wave followed. So what you were seeing at the big league level was really the last wave of that in the major leagues.
Katie, in your article, you talked about how all 5 of the starting pitchers starting the rotation to start the season were via free agency at some point in their Cardinal careers. What does next season look like? They still got a lot of guys under contract. You still have the options for Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson. What does the starting rotation look like next year? Will they have some of those younger pitchers from the organization in that rotation?
It's a great question, and one that I'm inclined to say yes to, because let's face it, you have an entire starting rotation made out of free agency every year. That's not sustainable unless you are a team like the Dodgers who are willing to spend whatever to attain that. Bill DeWitt and the ownership of the Cardinals have repeatedly stated that they are a small to mid-market organization, and they're going to operate that way. So that makes going out and getting your rotation all via free agency really unsustainable. And I actually thought the Cardinals rotation did a nice job given what they were asked to do. I think they more or less met and some even succeeded expectations. Now, next year, I don't see that being the case. If the Cardinals are going to pivot all this money towards player development, to me, and again, we haven't heard from the organization specifically on this, but in my opinion, it does not make sense that they're now all of a sudden going to rapidly increase that finite amount of money that John Mozeliak has had to work with each year. I think what we're going to see is a majority of those resources allocated towards minor leagues and player development, and we're going to see a reduction of payroll at the major league level. It does not mean the Cardinals are spending less. They will be spending less on their big league team. They're spending the same amount of money, though. This time it's just going to what they believe is their biggest problem. So we might see guys like Andre Palante, Michael McGreevy, maybe Gordon Grissett or Zach Thompson coming up and having a shot to win a spot in the rotation next spring. I don't see we'll see some of the free agents that we saw last year.
Katie Wu joins us right now on the Fast Lane on 101 at ESPN. Katie covers the Cardinals for The Athletic and wrote an outstanding piece that was posted this morning. Katie, when I got done reading your article, one of the things that hit me was like, okay, one, good. They seemingly are maybe more self-aware and they can actually fix the problem. But two, this seems like a major issue all the way around. You're talking about taking some of the resources from the big league level and dumping it into the minors. Okay, great. But this is something that will likely take a while. Did you get that same feel as you were kind of talking to your sources and things like that this could be I don't want to call it a rebuild, but like a massive overhaul to the entire organization?
That's exactly the takeaway that I got, and I, too, won't call it a rebuild, mainly because I don't think the organization will call it a rebuild, but that's essentially what it is. I mean, for the next 2 to 3 years, they are prepared, worst-case scenario, to not field a club that will be guaranteed to compete at the major league level. Now, this is not to say the young talent in 2025 and in 2026 can step up and do it. I think we've seen plenty of promising candidates and reason to believe in the future, but that future is only prosperous if you're supplementing it with talent. And the Cardinals, I know we're going to talk a lot about player development, but I think the Cardinals as an organization have dropped the ball all the way around. Where they're choosing to fix their problem first is player development because it speaks to how important it is in the organization. And think about it, guys. When you think about the St. Louis Cardinals, you think about homegrown talent. And lately, they've dropped the ball there. So, again, I wouldn't call it a rebuild because I don't think that they necessarily need to per se, because in my mind rebuild means like tank 60-win season, 65-win season. I don't see that, and I don't think they need to do that, but they did need to start making some changes, and I think fans, that's really what they want. They wanted to see a plan, something to get excited for in the future. That may not mean that 2025 is super exciting in terms of the major league level, but at least there's a plan in place to get this on the right track.
Katie, as we tiptoe around the word rebuild, I've been calling it a youth movement. If the Cardinals go with this youth movement, what does that mean for someone like Paul Goldschmidt, who's going to be unrestricted at the end of this year, and even a Nolan Arenado? Like, do you see a world where Nolan Arenado's okay with having another couple of, maybe losing seasons or 500 seasons and missing the playoffs?
That's a really good question, and I think those questions are going to be the most pertinent as we go into the offseason. When the Cardinals address this publicly, which I believe could be as early as Monday, though not guaranteed, we'll probably have more clarity on the direction that they need to go. But if they are committing to a youth movement, I think it's fair to question if Paul Goldschmidt would be back. The inkling here would be no, but you never know. And I think it's fair to wonder not just about Nolan Arenado, but about other guys they brought in via trades or free agency, via whether it's Wilson Contreras, whether it's Sonny Gray, guys that came to St. Louis to win. If they were signed or traded under the premise that they were going to win, and Nolan signed an extension here, and all of a sudden that plan's changed, well, they could change their minds too. But I do think it's too early to tell or say definitively, but it is a fair question, and it will be the most pressing thing probably asked on Monday is what does this mean for the Stars in St. Louis? If the Cardinals are going to embrace the youth movement, what happens to the marquee players?
Katie, we talked about some of the woes that Jordan Walker has had in the outfield, and maybe that's from lack of being developed in that position. Are there any thoughts of possibly moving him into the infield? The outfield has been overly crowded over the last couple of years. Has there been any discussion about moving him into the infield, his original position when he was drafted?
So, again, these are great questions, guys. I am not sure about that one. I know that it has not been fair or fun for anyone to watch Jordan in the outfield again, and it's not for lack of effort. And I don't want to pick on Jordan again because he's out there trying his best and he's doing everything he can to get better. The results just aren't there. And when you think about him only having 4 months in the minor leagues to become a major league outfielder, well, then you can understand why some of the plays look the way they do. Now, how the positions work out for next year will depend a lot about what we just talked about, if some of those marquee players come back. But the problem that I have with the Cardinals roster construction this year is that there just seems to be a lot of one-dimensional, not super athletic pieces. It's what makes guys like Brendan Donovan super valuable, right? Because he can play everywhere. Then you look at guys like Alec Burleson, who has one of the best contact bats against right-handed hitters, struggles against left. You don't really know where to play him defensively. Nolan Gorman, promising power. Is he really a second baseman or is he better off at third? You go down the list. Ivan Herrera, great bat, can't throw runners out. But these are all correlated, right? This goes back to how they were developed and brought up through the system and now how they're being used at the major leagues. So not quite sure what this means for Jordan and whether a position changes in the future, but I think you can ask that question about a lot of guys on the roster that are setting up for 2025.
Katie, with the announcement that Chaim Bloom is taking over the player development and John Mozeliak looks like he's going to continue as president of baseball operations. But I guess my question is more like behind closed doors, will Chaim Bloom have more of a presence? Will they kind of, I don't want to say phase out John Mozeliak, but if this team is going in a different direction, you can't really go in a different direction with a guy who's still part of the old plan.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think Mo has publicly said before, and he'll say again, that he plans to step down after the 2025 season. I think you're seeing a transition period. Now, I don't know if Chaim Bloom is going to take over as the president of baseball operations next year. All I know is that he's tasked with fixing a player development system, and he has excelled at doing so in the past. What he did with the Tampa Bay Rays system was revolutionary at the time. Now, if you're Mo, you also have to understand, or if you're fans of the game, you have to understand that, this is not what Mo wants to be doing. This is hard for him to do, hard for him to admit, hey, in my last year, I'm going to field a team that does not meet the standard in St. Louis willingly. You might not be a fan of John Mozeliak. He's definitely not immune to criticism, but everything that he did in his tenure was to make ownership happy, which is his job, and try to put a winning product on the field in St. Louis. When you ask, why were the minor leagues really not resourced properly, or why did they let this go on the back burner? It's because Mo was doing everything he could with the money he was given to make sure the big league team was still seeing success. So I get where fans' frustration is coming from. I also don't think that Mo is 100% to blame here. He certainly has some blame, but a lot of it just came down to he had to make a really difficult choice with the amount of money that he was given. He chose the big league club. Now he's going to be responsible for transitioning that club to a new leadership, to a new model, and I think he wants to leave this organization in capable hands, which is why he's going to be here in 25, so he can help with that transition.
All right, Katie, we'll sign off on this one. Again, thank you for your time, but building off of what you just said, and it was well stated, does anything change then if it's the same ownership group?
That is, I think, the bigger question. Until ownership is willing to admit or willing to see, and granted, we don't know the books, to admit that they need to spend more to keep up. This whole we're a small mid-market team thing works if you're a city that's not St. Louis, that is known as a baseball town. I mean, they are consistently, not this year, of course, in the top of attendance. They make a lot of money off their revenue deal with TV. They have a huge audience. They're not your normal small market team. But if ownership is committed to only spending a set amount of money each year, then you're, again, maybe kicking the ball down the road in terms of, can actual change be sustained here? And I think, again, that's the bigger question that needs to be asked.
Katie, phenomenal job. We appreciate your time. Thank you. And great work.
You got it, guys. Thanks so much for having me. Enjoy the weekend.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's Katie Wu from The Athletic here on 101 at ESPN. I highly encourage everybody to read the article, but what Katie kind of detailed with us, too, is she didn't soft play anything. I do want to go back to just one thing that she noted there with Mo. I think she's right. Mo ultimately, in the last couple of years, he failed, right? He failed. But it's not as if his hands haven't been tied to some degree. Could he have been better at his job? Yes, full stop.
Yeah.
But like Katie said, if you're working with a budget of $100, you're going to the grocery store, you're going to leave some things at the grocery store you might need.
Yeah, but I guess my question would be, even though he had a certain budget,
Did he maximize it?
Not just that. Did he buy the right things at the grocery store?
No, he went there
because
and he
if
bought
it's $10 for something.
Yeah, no, he bought DVDs when he doesn't have a DVD player. He bought, no.
So that's my point.
No, yes.
Like,
he didn't do well.
He talks about pitching, and the first thing he does is goes out and signs Gibson and Lance Lynn.
Because that's who he could afford.
No, but then the third pitcher he signs is Sonny Gray.
Because
Don't you think that's in reverse order?
Well, he knew what he was going to spend his money on. It's like when you go to, like, you know, your kids go to the store, they got money for certain things, but they want to spend it on the big things. So they'll nickel and dime here and there and get the toy cars, but they really want to get the big expensive thing later on.
My point is that, just like you're saying, I agree with what you're saying, is that even though ownership gave him X amount of dollars, like said, hey, here's your budget, he spent it. He didn't spend it as wisely as he could have.
Yes.
On the right pieces.
That's correct.
I think I know we got a break, but my question is going to be, what does that look like? Like, okay, fine, they're going to spend more money for the minor leagues and add more coaches and develop there. What does it look like for the guys that are already here that are not developed? The Ivan Herreras, the Jordan Walkers that need to work on certain aspects of their game. Are they just going to play and we'll figure it out as we go? Like, what does that look like?
It's a great question.
We'll find out.
We'll find out. Exactly. We'll wrap up the show next on 101 ESPN. It's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. If you missed anything on a Freedom Friday, you can, of course, download the podcast available at 101ESPN.com or on your 101 ESPN mobile app. All brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Time to bet the board here in the Fastlane on 101 ESPN.
All right.
Marsh.
Carey's got 12 points. Jamie's got 10 points. I have 9 points. Anthony, you have 8 points.
All right.
And today and Monday, last days of the month.
What do you have over there? You got a bunch of words on your paper. What's that? Oh, okay.
Gauntlet.
Just checking. Thought it was one of your plays you got. I didn't see you this time. Give me Aaron Judge, 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs.
Oh, boy.
Minus 135.
All right, is it me?
Yep.
Okay.
See? I knew it!
Is he going for it?
All right, here we go, guys.
Oh, here we go. Last time he did this.
Oh.
How many legs?
On the this is not as many as last time. On the prop side, I've got Yu Darvish with over 4.5 strikeouts. That's minus 122. On the money line side of it, I've got the Mets winning their game. I've got the Guardians winning. You guys can all check the numbers. It's all legit. I've got the Red Sox winning, and I've got the Diamondbacks winning.
All right.
It's a 5-leg parlay. You're welcome, Carey.
I don't like it.
And now you're stuck with not much going on next week.
All righty. We'll see how this goes.
Marshy?
Give me Chris Boswell over 1.5 field goals at minus 150.
Ah, that's a good
All
one.
right, there you go. Yeah, here's a given, too. Saints plus 3 on Sunday. To lay up.
The Bucks? Who are they playing?
Different divisional rival.
Oh,
Falcons.
Falcons ain't going to beat them. Derek Carr? There's no way. Guy's awesome.
All right, guys, we got to get out of here. We had a ton of criticisms and compliments that came in. So I want to, notice. I noticed all of them, and we don't have enough time to get to all of them. But I just have one criticism, and it's for the Cardinals. They did not put out their lineup. This is the final day we would have had a lineup game.
Wow.
And they didn't do it. So
It's Mo.
it's fitting.
it's
You heard
unbelievable.
us talking about it. He's like, no, hang on to that lineup, Wally.
It's about 5:55.
Fast lane, the fast lane is what he said.
All right, let's get to our 3 stars of the day. Our 3rd star of the day is going to go out to William.
I was like, who? Oh, yeah.
2nd star of the day goes to Katie Wu.
Yes.
Great article, great
Yes.
interview.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Thank you, Katie.
And of course, the Freedom Friday 1st star has to go to the listeners.
Yeah,
Yes. Hey, and for you too, Marsh. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Let's split that star. You got to hustle during a Freedom Friday, man.
Hustle,
So,
bustle.
nice job.
Well, thank you.
And good luck with the color analyst position
Yes.
tonight for Maryville.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Everybody, thank you for a great week. Thank you for a great Freedom Friday. Have a tremendous weekend. Have fun. Watch a little foosball, maybe a little hockey as well, and some important baseball. I'm sure it's played somewhere out there.
at some point.
Yeah.
In San Francisco.
For Andrew Marsh, Carey Davis, Jamie Rivers, I'm Anthony Stalter. We will see you.